Chapter 326. Su Yin rushed into the ancient underground cave. The blazing aura was enough to make some cultivators with strong vitality unable to withstand it. However, it was nothing to Su Yin. Su Yin's eyes scanned the surroundings. He could feel the residual killing intent in the air. After carefully sensing it, his eyes turned cold. It was definitely a cultivator from the ancestral hall. As for the person who helped the Big Dipper clan, who was he? Su Yin still couldn't figure it out. However, to be able to lure away the 10 gray horsemen, he was definitely not an ordinary person. Su Yin quickly crossed the cave. The deeper he went, the higher the temperature. He saw traces of battle along the way. There were even some bloodstains on the ground. When Su Yin rushed into the depths of the ancient cave, he saw the void flickering. Without a doubt, the temperature was so high that it distorted the void. One could imagine how dangerous this place was. Magma River. Su Yin frowned slightly. At the end of the underground ancient cave, there was a magma river with surging heat waves. The temperature was spreading from the magma river. The fiery red world burned the void until it was dark. Once he jumped down, wouldn't it be like jumping into a pot of oil? It can't be inside the river of magma, right? The treasure Z Xioning asked me to find is definitely not ordinary. Let's go down and take a look. There might be another world down there. The terrain here is also not ordinary. Su Yin thought for a while and found the river of magma trembling slightly. It was as if something was about to come out. Su Yin didn't hesitate at all. His whole body was covered in divine light. The dragon-shaped pillar of Qi turned into a protective light. He jumped directly into the river of magma. The protective light shield he created was distorted. It was as if it couldn't withstand the temperature and was about to shatter. Just thinking about it made one realize how dangerous this place was. If he encountered any mishaps, he would definitely be burned alive by the river of magma and turned into a pile of ashes. However, although the river of magma was strong, compared to Su Yin's experience in the extreme Yang River, there was still a gap. He had already reached the bottom of the river of magma. Only then did he discover that there was another world under the river of magma. Su Yin felt as if he had barged into a small fiery red world. To be more precise, it was a huge underground cave that had been burned out by the flames. Just as he arrived here, he could already feel the rich and scorching life essence flowing around. Su Yin rushed forward at lightning speed, and he saw one after another huge stone crater after another, gushing with fiery red divine light that was dazzling to the eyes. Earth flame liquid. Su Yin was speechless. He was shaken. There were too many earthly fire knights here. This was the precious liquid that had been precipitated over the years from the underground fire vein. Earth flame liquid was a rare spirit liquid that was very suitable for cultivating one's physical body and strengthening one's qi and blood. However, the amount of earth flame liquid here was so great that Su Yin found it hard to believe. Out of the dozens of pits, 5 of them had their earth flame liquid completely absorbed. Su Yin saw some broken bones and old skin nearby. Someone has been reborn here. Su Yin was startled and moved. He couldn't help but sigh in admiration. This world was mystical. The earth gave birth to heavenly materials and earthly treasures. For example, Su Yin had obtained good fortune in the Thunder Dominion, but there was also a lucky chance in the Setting Sun Ridge. It was clear that the cultivators who relied on the earth flame liquid to transform themselves didn't have powerful spatial treasures, so they couldn't take away all of the earth flame liquid. Su Yin took out the phoenix hairpin treasure and swallowed up the earth flame liquid in each of the stone pits. However, there were too many of them. Even with his spatial treasure, it was impossible for him to take away all of the earth flame liquid. Boom! The sounds of fighting suddenly rang out. The entire underground cave seemed to collapse. The aura coming from the depths was abnormally terrifying. Su Yin could already feel powerful life forms erupting one after another, their momentum shaking the heavens. Immediately hand over the inheritance, otherwise don't blame us for being ruthless. A chilling voice rang out, causing Su Yin's eyes to widen. Like a bolt of lightning, he rushed into the depths to search for the knights sent by the ancestral hall. The scene in the depths of the underground cave shocked Su Yan. It was as if a giant meteor had sunk into the ground. It was a fiery red color, and an ancient aura lingered around it. Moreover, it was spitting out sun god essence. This was a sun that had sunk into the setting sun ridge for an unknown number of years. As time passed, the divine energy contained within the sun gradually dissipated. Now began to leak sun god essence. Although the sun was on the verge of collapse, it was still a supreme treasure in itself. In all directions, 10 knights with chilling auras were riding purple lightning beasts. They arrived in all directions and were looking at the sun with greedy eyes. Standing on top of the sun was a figure covered in blood. His hair was disheveled, covering his face. Only a pair of sharp and frightening eyes could be seen. When they opened and closed, a divine light burst out. Moreover, his entire body was firm and unyielding. Although he was severely injured, a blazing aura surged out from him. He was like a condensed sun standing there. This was because he had been refining his body with earth fire liquid all year round. In addition to the essence leaking from the sun, his life force was as blazing as the sun. If you want to kill me, then kill me. What's the point of speaking so much nonsense? The man with disheveled hair let out a cold shout. His spiritual power was unstoppable and filled with a domineering might. He bravely advanced, never retreating. At the moment he erupted, his entire fist was overflowing with resplendent light. It was as if a condensed sun had erupted. As he recovered, a giant sun rose behind him and was released along with Yuan. Moreover, Yuan's treasured body was like a red sun that slowly rose into the sky. Without a doubt, he had obtained an inheritance in the Savage Mountain. It was a shocking body refining technique and not a supernatural ability. Sun Fist, I must obtain it. The 10 knights were envious. They never thought that they would encounter the Sun Fist that had been lost in the world of cultivation. This was an extremely ancient fist technique. Rumor had it that it had been passed down from the Savage era and was extremely valuable. It was even rumored in ancient times that this fist technique, when combined with the circulation of the body, was no less powerful than the supernatural abilities of the heavens. You're too stubborn. The 10 knights' eyes were cold. When they erupted, they were quite terrifying. They were all at the peak of the transcendence realm. No matter how strong Yuan was, his cultivation time was too short. It would be difficult for him to fight against the 10 knights. In a flash of light, the entire underground cave trembled. The 10 knights charged over angrily. A ferocious spear pierced Yuan's shoulder and was about to lift him up. Kill! Yuan roared. He was like a demon lord who was fearless. Even if he died in battle, he wouldn't even frown. His palm gripped the tip of the spear, and his fist exploded. The divine light of the sun burst forth, and the knight's palm cracked. His eyes were filled with terrifying killing intent, and he even wanted to wave his fist and kill the knight. Bastard! The injured knight was furious. Yuan hadn't yielded, but they didn't want to kill Yuan either. They wanted to obtain his cultivation technique. Teacher Yuan. Suddenly, an angry shout rang out. Yuan, who was in the middle of a bloody battle, laughed loudly. He had never thought that Su Yin would charge in at this time. You're courting death. Get out. One of the knights erupted. As his palm trembled, a large black snake came out and swooped down on Su Yin. Be careful. Yuan's eyes widened. Just as he was about to charge out and meet up with Su Yin, he was shocked to find that thousands of stormy waves had burst out from Su Yan's treasured body in the shape of a dragon. He rose from the ground, causing the entire underground cave to tremble along with his awakened aura. I've finally found you. Seeing Yuan's injured body, Su Yan's eyes turned red. He let out a low roar and punched out, shattering the void. The force of the punch was like a raging sea that had awakened. The knight who attacked Su Yin was shocked. He didn't even have time to retreat. His entire palm exploded. He let out a shrill cry as half of his body caved in. He had almost died. How is this possible? The knight was still doubting his life. He couldn't believe it. Although he wasn't an overlord in the Dharma characteristic realm, his combat strength was extraordinary. But now he had encountered a terrifying monster who had almost exploded with a single punch. Was this a young supreme being? Good. Yuan laughed excitedly. He had never thought that Su Yan's combat strength had reached such a high level. During this period of time, he had been hiding in the Sunset Ridge to train. With the help of natural treasures, he had made great progress. He had thought that he would come out after training to a certain level, but he hadn't expected to encounter the people from the Ancestral Hall. Yuan hated the people from the Ancestral Hall to the bone. Many of his good brothers had died tragically at the hands of the Ancestral Hall. The Ancestral Hall had even plotted against Earth. As a hot-blooded martial god, how could he stand idly by and do nothing? Who are you? The faces of the 10 great knights were gloomy as they stared coldly at Su Yan. They could feel his strength and knew that he wasn't an ordinary person. I'm the one who will kill you. Su Yan's reply made the 10 great knights laugh. Their eyes were full of disdain, malevolence, and even anger. Has the world changed? Even the people from the Ancestral Hall are killed. At first, it was Su Yan, but now there's a reckless fool. It seems that the Ancestral Hall has been silent for too long. Has the universe forgotten about us? They laughed coldly. Each and every one of them was very confident in their power. They felt that no power could threaten the high and mighty Ancestral Hall. The aura of the 10 great knights was terrifying. Their auras had faintly merged into one and filled the air with an unparalleled divine might. It caused the entire underground cave to tremble. The iron dagger axes they took out lit up the entire cave. Their killing intent surged out like a tide and filled the entire cave. Su Yan, be careful. Yuan's expression changed. The battle formation of the 10 great knights was truly astonishing. Yuan wouldn't be afraid of anyone if it was a one-on-one battle, but their battle formation was quite terrifying. You're Su Yan. The eyes of the 10 great knights were wide open. They hadn't expected that the person they had been searching for so long would be right under their noses. Grandpa is here to send you to the Western Paradise. Chapter 3:27. The 10 great horsemen raised their heads to the sky and roared in extreme anger. No one had ever dared to speak to them in such a manner. They were members of the Ancestral Hall. Throughout the entire universe, no one dared to openly challenge the Ancestral Hall. Kill him. The 10 great horsemen rushed over in unison. They rode on purple lightning beasts, and the power of their Dharma aspects combined into one. They formed an ancient battle formation that shook the heavens and earth. They emitted a killing power that could shatter the universe as they rushed towards Su Yan. In the face of such a battle formation, the geniuses were nothing. Even the overlords of the younger generation could be suppressed. Kill! The 10 great horsemen swooped down, and the beams of light that lingered around them caused the giant cave to tremble. That earth-shattering divine might was like a raging ocean of killing intent, howling as it approached. Be careful! Yuan couldn't help but warn. He was already exhausted, and it would be difficult for him to continue fighting. However, the 10 great horsemen were extraordinary. It would be difficult to sacrifice them alive when they formed a battle formation. But when Su Yan erupted into his prime, Yuan was stunned. He let out a heroic laugh as he recalled the time when he was at Huaxia University. He couldn't help but think that Su Yan had really matured. His strength had already surpassed his. Even in the vast universe, he could make a name for himself. Roar! The roar of a true dragon shook the universe. Su Yan's fist soared into the sky, sprinkling golden splendor. It was dazzling and shocking. As Su Yan brandished his fist, the aura of a true dragon was emitted. It was enough to suppress the sharpness of the world, and it suddenly burst forth. Kill! Su Yan roared. Carrying the will to kill the Ancestral Hall's 10 great horsemen, he struck out with an earth-shattering punch. Boom! Although the divine might that Su Yan struck out was relatively weak compared to the power of the 10 great horsemen, the energy contained within Su Yan's body had evolved into a Dharma aspect that contained unparalleled divine power. This punch landed solidly on the ocean-like killing light, causing the heavens and earth to explode. Energy ripples wreaked havoc between heaven and earth. Large cracks appeared in the giant underground cave, and it was about to sink. Kill him. The 10 great knights were overwhelmed with shock. This was the power of a young overlord. If this kind of hero were to grow up, he would definitely become a great disaster in the future. The 10 great horsemen rushed over on the purple lightning beasts and once again formed a battle formation. The power they produced had just reached the next level as they raged towards Su Yan. Trash of the Ancestral Hall, come. Grandpa will send you on your way. Su Yan faced the sky and laughed heartily. His black hair danced in the wind as his entire body surged with murderous intent. His abyssal divine power churned along with the operation of the initial sutra. His precious body seemed to have turned into a terrifying heavenly furnace that wanted to swallow the sun, moon, and starry skies and refine the universe. Su Yan's moves were tyrannical and peerless. Every move was heavy and ferocious, revealing all kinds of phantoms. A great battle erupted. Su Yan faced off against the 10 great horsemen alone. The blood in his body boiled with anger as his combat strength grew stronger and stronger. His body burned with a vigorous flame of life, and the battle physique he had cultivated was released. Every time he raised his hand, he would erupt with world-shaking combat strength. He possesses a world-shaking ancient scripture. We must suppress him. Who would have thought we would encounter such a fortune here? Some of the horsemen's eyes turned red. They could see that Su Yan's battle physique was peerlessly powerful like a heavenly furnace. The moment he breathed, the entire underground cave became dark and lightless. Countless life essences were being swallowed by Su Yan. Dozens of collisions occurred in succession. Each time, there would be the sound of a peerless wave. One had to admit that the Ancestral Hall's battle formation was powerful. One could infer from these horsemen just how shocking the Ancestral Hall's foundations were. Due to internal strife, the Big Dipper lineage wasn't united. Otherwise, how could they be beaten to the point where they couldn't even kill their way out of the setting sun ridge? Chi! Su Yan strode forward like a dragon and unleashed a blood-colored halberd. The moment he hacked out, it was as if the void had been torn apart. The energy waves that erupted caused the hearts of the 10 great horsemen to turn cold. That's the Ancestral Hall's supreme treasure. I never thought it would fall into Su Yan's hands. Some of the horsemen were incomparably furious. This treasure was extraordinarily valuable and contained an extremely powerful killing force. Wave after wave of void tears came crashing down, causing the 10 great horsemen to feel as if they were encountering snakes and scorpions. Even the purple lightning beasts they rode were about to shatter. Kill! The 10 horsemen summoned their treasures, causing the might of the battle formation to rise once more. As they rushed forwards, a great slash appeared between the heavens and earth. Their battle formation was actually split open, and a massive crack was torn open in their battle formation. How is this possible? The 10 great horsemen were both shocked and angered. This was the Ancestral Hall's battle formation, but Su Yan had actually found a flaw and opened a crack. Boom! It was also at this time that Su Yan's figure emerged from the killing formation. His entire body emitted a tyrannical aura. Under the state of the great Tao heavenly furnace, every breath he took caused the world to tremble. The entire cave trembled along with him. I don't have time to waste with you all. However, Su Yan's aura soared once again. The tyrant body technique was activated, and he was filled with an aura that could tear apart the heavens and split the sea. He was like a mad god that erupted here. Punch after punch was thrown out, and the space of the killing formation was bombarded until large cracks appeared. Chi! Su Yan brandished the crimson halberd. The moment he cleaved down, a horseman cried out in fear. The incoming crimson halberd made him despair. Chi! This horseman was cleaved in two by Su Yan. Blood spilled out, causing the 9 horsemen's expressions to change drastically. Even they couldn't trap this vicious person. He definitely had an unparalleled background. So strong, Yuan was speechless. The current Su Yan was too strong. He could fight 1 against 10, and even when they were in control of the battle formation, he could still kill one of them. He had already killed one. Was the second one far away? The giant underground cave was dyed in blood, and miserable cries were unceasing. Su Yin was bathed in blood and had gone mad. He definitely wouldn't be lenient. Earth had almost been destroyed because of the ancestral hall. This was a blood feud, a feud between races. I'm coming. Yuan also rushed up with a blood spear in his hand. Although he was seriously injured, the former martial god of the Huaxia Alliance wasn't a useless person. His fighting spirit was high, and he joined hands with Su Yin to kill the people of the ancestral hall. Ha ha, let's join hands and kill them. Yuan's killing intent was even more ferocious than Su Yan's. He had experienced Earth's doomsday and killed his way out of countless bloody storms. He directly pierced a horseman's neck with his blood spear and raised his fist to smash the horseman's chest. His heart had been blasted apart. The horseman let out a miserable cry. His eyes were full of fear, and he regretted not killing him just now. Now that he had been killed instead, he was extremely unwilling. Aren't you afraid of causing a disaster? 5 horsemen had been killed, and the remaining 5 were emitting a cold aura. Someone said angrily, "Do you know what kind of consequences we'll incur if we're buried here?" Ha ha ha. The martial god laughed loudly. His hair danced in the wind, and his eyes were suffused with a bloody aura. I won't say a word because I'm inferior, but you people will all die here. Not a single one of you will live. Su Yin replied. His clothes were fluttering as he shouted, "You people who live in the glory of your ancestors, don't hold on to any hope. No one will kill their way in to save you." An iron-blooded killing intent seeped out, causing them to feel as if they had fallen into an icy cavern. A horseman let out a furious cry. "Then you all just wait and see how our ancestral hall's big shots will destroy you. Then I'll wait. If you can't kill me, I, Su Yin, will pay you a visit one day. Kill." The sky was filled with killing intent, and blood rained down from the sky. Su Yin and Yuan didn't show any mercy. They killed until the underground cave was riddled with holes. Blood and broken bones were everywhere, and one powerful horseman after another died with hatred. You all won't have a good ending. The 2 horsemen who were still alive were already in despair. He was starting to doubt his life. The ancestral hall was high and mighty. Who would dare to wantonly killing Jia of the ancestral hall? Moreover, they had received orders to capture Su Yin. You should worry more about yourself. Su Yin punched out, and the wind from his fist, which contained a killing intent, shattered the horseman's organs. Blood spurted out from his body as he said in an unwilling voice, "Just you wait. You 2 will be buried with us." Rip. Yuan rushed up. He was cruel and fierce. He pierced the chest of a horseman with his spear and nailed him to the rock wall. Humph! Yuan pulled out his spear, and the corpse fell to the ground. The underground cave was filled with corpses, and the killing intent spread out. "Teacher, Yuan." Su Yin withdrew his killing intent and walked towards Yuan. He didn't expect to meet Yuan at the setting sun ridge. "Good kid." Yuan hammered Su Yan's chest and laughed. "I didn't expect this. Ha ha ha. I really didn't expect this." The master and disciple from back then met here and laughed at each other. They recalled some of their experiences when they crossed from Earth to planet Alcade. They couldn't help but sigh. Many years had passed, and they had both experienced many things. When Yuan first came to planet Alcade, he was cultivating in the Savage Mountain. Later on, Su Yin went to the Savage Mountain, and they were all taught by the mysterious man. However, Yuan didn't expect to meet the Shui family's elder when he went down the mountain. He was almost killed. At the thought of this, Yuan's eyes were filled with killing intent. He had suffered a great loss and almost died at the hands of the Shui family's elder. Shui family. I will destroy them sooner or later. Su Yin hated them too. Shui Guan had always wanted to obtain the heaven art that he cultivated. Therefore, he had encountered many disasters and experienced many bloody storms over the years. Don't worry. It's never too late for a gentleman to take revenge. I'm not a gentleman. Sooner or later, I will teach them a lesson. Yuan snorted and said, "Later on, I came to planet Big Dipper and was chased by the Schwef family. I accidentally came to the setting sun ridge. Back then, I discovered that the lava river here had the effect of refining the body. I stayed here to cultivate, but I didn't expect such a great opportunity below." Yuan sighed and couldn't help but sigh. He had used the massive amount of earth flame liquid here to cultivate, and he had been reborn. His realm had also advanced by leaps and bounds, not to mention this extreme, yang, celestial body. There's also a lot of extreme, yang, celestial essence here. Su Yin was shocked. His eyes scanned the huge, celestial body here. It was emitting wisps of golden, celestial essence. Yuan had been absorbing the celestial essence here day by day. That was why he had broken through and entered the Dharma plane. That's right. Speaking of this, it's really strange. Chapter 328. Speaking of this matter, Yuan's face was overflowing with a smile. He had obtained a great opportunity and said with a smile, "I really have to thank the Schwef family. If it wasn't for them forcing me here, I probably wouldn't have cultivated to the peak of the transcendent realm." Yuan was now a transcendence realm cultivator. After all, with the help of the solar astral body, his cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds. He used the essence of the sun to temper his body and break through to the transcendence realm. His combat ability was definitely at the level of a peerless genius. A corpse. Speaking of this, Su Yan's eyes lit up. He just remembered the deal between him and Zi Xiaoning. Perhaps Yuan had obtained this relic. "What corpse?" he asked. "Did you get some treasure?" There were some treasures, but because the corpse had been dead for so long, most of the divine power in the treasures had been used up. Yuan felt sorry. Then he smiled and said, "But I obtained a precious inheritance inside. It's very helpful to me. Let me show it to you. It'll definitely be helpful to you." Yuan shook his sleeve, and a rag flew out. It reeked of blood. There were some patterns and words written in blood on the rag. Even now, there was still a terrifying aura. It was obvious how powerful the cultivator who had written these words was. The scriptures and patterns were very complicated. Yuan had studied them for a long time before he learned the Solar Fist. It was very suitable for his body. Solar Fist. Su Yan's eyes were blazing as he stared at the path of cultivation recorded on the rag. He studied it for a while and carefully comprehended it. It was as if there was a huge sun leaping in his body, pulling at the blood essence in his body as it burned brightly. "Good boy." Yuan was shocked. "You comprehended it so quickly. I studied it for more than a month before I found a way to cultivate it." Hearing this, Su Yin smiled and said, "Teacher Yuan, I practiced the Big Dipper Fist before. I discovered that the Solar Fist and the Mizar Fist are somewhat similar, but the Solar Fist surpasses the Mizar Fist. That's why I was able to quickly grasp the profound meaning of this fist art. However, I still need to cultivate bitterly for a period of time before I can unleash its full power." "This is already very good," Yuan laughed. "When we return to the Huaxia Alliance in the future, this Solar Fist will definitely be a secret technique that will shake up the entire clan. Of course, this fist art is extremely shocking." The more Su Yin looked at it, the more shocked he was. He said, "It's a pure physical attack. The stronger the blood essence, the more terrifying it is. According to the records of the Solar Fist, if it can be used together with the shocking battle physique, its power will not be inferior to the secret arts of the heavens." Su Yin was speechless. The opportunity that Yuan had gotten was too amazing. The secret arts of the heavens were extremely rare, and this Solar Fist was actually comparable to the secret arts of the heavens. Although it was only comparable to the secret arts of the heavens, it was still a top-notch inheritance. The average ancient family probably did not have such an inheritance. Of course, the foundation required to cultivate the Solar Fist was too strong. Some prodigies could not meet the requirements to cultivate it. However, Yuan was different. In the past, his life's spring had been shattered, and he had embarked on the path of body cultivation. His physical body was relatively strong. Su Yin had mastered the Big Dipper Fist, so it was very easy for him to learn the Solar Fist. In the process of studying it, Su Yin even discovered that the solar fist also had some body cultivation Tao. He could absorb the essence of the sun and refine his battle physique. This surprised him. The solar fist was very suitable for him to cultivate. In the process of cultivation, the corresponding martial arts were indispensable. This fist art is very suitable for me. Su Yin felt that once he mastered the solar fist, he would be able to unleash the full power of his physical body. He would definitely be like a tiger that had grown wings. By the way, Su Yin, take a look here. There are some writings left behind by a powerful cultivator who died. Yuan pointed to a place. It was a powerful cultivator from the Cosmos Business Alliance. I don't know how long he has been dead. My name is Zi Zhengshu. I'm nearing the end of my life. I was afraid that the inheritance of my clan would be incomplete, so I left behind the cultivation method of the solar fist. I hope that the person who obtains this inheritance can send my remains to the Cosmos Business Alliance so that I can rest in peace. When Su Yin saw these words, he was moved. Zi Xiaoning wanted him to find the solar fist. He realized that the jade pendant was glowing. A smile appeared on his face. If this deal was completed, Zi Xiaoning would agree to his terms. This is a shocking abijna that is comparable to the secret arts of the heavens. Yuan hesitated. He said, "How about this? Let's find a place with beautiful scenery and bury your remains." After all, the inheritance was too important for a force. Yuan was worried that if they escorted the remains back, the Cosmos Business Alliance would make things difficult for them. He was also concerned about their safety. It's okay. We can just find a branch and throw it to them. How they treat the remains is their business. We will just be responsible for escorting it. As soon as Su Yin finished speaking, he suddenly frowned and put away the blood-stained rag. Su Yin's expression changed slightly because the jade pendant in his hand was still glowing. "What's wrong?" Yuan looked at the jade pendant and asked suspiciously, "What is this?" "Su Yin, don't tell me you're searching for this corpse? Isn't this too much of a coincidence? There is something wrong with this skeleton." Su Yin frowned slightly. He said, "There should be something interesting hidden here. What I am looking for might be in this skeleton." The jet-black mummified corpse was well preserved. Su Yan's eyes began to scan, not missing a single inch. His primordial spirit glowed as he sensed the fluctuations of the mummified corpse. Finally, Su Yin found an imperceptible airflow in its empty eye sockets. "Let me do it." Seeing Su Yan's actions, Yuan hurriedly stretched out his hand. He was afraid that there was something evil and stopped Su Yin. "Senior, please forgive me." Yuan gritted his teeth. Just as his finger reached in, he felt a terrifying aura coming out from inside. The mummified corpse was glowing with divine light. It was like a golden god that had awakened with a terrifying power. The entire underground cave was trembling as if it was about to explode. The corpse has come to life. Yuan did not hesitate. He threw away the mummified corpse and wanted to leave with Su Yin. No, Su Yin also quickly retreated. However, he suddenly reacted and said, "This is the Big Dipper. No matter how strong it is, it can't use much of its power." That's true. Yuan also stopped and returned with Su Yin. When they returned to the ancient cave, they found that the mummified corpse had returned to normal. However, something had fallen out of its empty eye sockets. That's it. Su Yan's eyes were filled with joy. He stretched out his hand and picked up the jade bone book on the ground. It looked like a bone book made of crimson bones. It was very ancient. "What is this?" Yuan said in amazement. "It seems like the senior is really going to send this bone book back to the clan. Even the solar fist cannot compare to this bone book. It seems like the things recorded in this bone book must be extremely terrifying." Su Yin also felt that this item was not simple. He and Yuan both stared at the bone book and observed it. The crimson bone book floated in the air. Su Yin and Yuan looked at the bone book. They scratched their heads and muttered, "Wordless heavenly book?" The bone book did not have any written records. This made Su Yan's face a little gloomy. He originally thought that he would be able to obtain a shocking inheritance. He did not expect it to be a wordless heavenly book. He estimated that he would need some special conditions to open the inheritance recorded in the bone book. It was no wonder that Zi Xiaoning allowed him to search for the relics without worry. Wang, just as Su Yan was feeling disappointed, the broken cauldron in his life spring glowed and flew out of its own accord. It floated in front of the bone book and flowed with a clear radiance. This scene made Su Yan look like he had seen a ghost. Yuan was also surprised. Wasn't this the broken cauldron that Su Yan had obtained on Earth? Why did this thing float out? How can this be? Could it be that they are related? Su Yan was in disbelief. The broken cauldron was a treasure from Earth, but now it had floated out. This made him stunned. What was the origin of this bone book? Look! Yuan's heartbeat quickened. The broken cauldron sprinkled down a clear radiance that flowed onto the bone book. The scarlet bone book immediately glowed. Although the radiance was not particularly brilliant, a mysterious pattern appeared on the bone book. It was like an immortal phoenix spreading its wings and flying. What kind of inheritance is this? The two of them were dumbstruck. This was too strange. The broken cauldron could actually open the inheritance. It was like a key. They studied what they suspected to be a secret technique inheritance, but their heads were full of fog. This was a pattern that contained some meridians. It looked very profound. Su Yan was bewildered. He tried to operate it according to the inheritance pattern. But after testing for a while, Su Yan frowned. He could not see the specific path, but this thing was definitely not simple. It might require some special conditions to cultivate. Su Yan smiled bitterly and said, "Let's go out first. We'll study it later." Su Yan put away the broken cauldron and found that the bone book had returned to normal. This made him even more curious. This inheritance preservation method was too perfect. Even if he obtained the bone book, he would not be able to open the inheritance space without the key. Now, there were already some who had entered the giant underground cave. When they saw the scene inside, they were all scared silly. The 10 great horsemen had all died. How long had it been? Su Yan had actually killed the 10 great horsemen? Could it be that he now had the battle strength of a young overlord? Kang Yuan is here. This news spread throughout the setting sun ridge. Some people had already felt the surging waves of killing intent from afar, rolling up the clouds. Kang Yuan actually came at this juncture. Now that Su Yan has gone to the setting sun ridge, there are 10 great ancestral hall horsemen there. They can form a super powerful battle formation. Can Su Yan defeat them? This is a man-made disaster. The 10 great horsemen of the ancestral hall are strong enough, and now Kang Yuan has come. I feel that whether or not Su Yan can rise and become a young overlord would depend on this. There were too many cultivators here, and now they all saw a shocking scene. It was as if a cosmic celestial body had pounced over. It was surrounded by a terrifying light, illuminating the entire setting sun ridge with a scarlet red light. It was like a demonic god's shadow. It crossed over and looked down at the sky, overlooking the entire setting sun ridge. Some people sighed. Kang Yuan was too terrifying. He had obtained the recognition of the profound sky, star domain's great Tao. Could Su Yan defeat the current Kang Yuan? After all, the recognition of a star domain's great Tao was peerless and terrifying. It could crush all opponents in the same realm. Where is Su Yan? Kang Yuan's hair danced in the wind. He stood above the setting sun ridge and coldly shouted, "Stand out and accept your death." Chapter 329. His murderous intent surged out and reverberated in Sunset Ridge like a raging wave. The world was completely silent. Everyone was stunned by Kang Yuan's words. Anyone could sense Kang Yuan's invincible spiritual will. He had absolute confidence that he was invincible among the younger generation in this universe. Against a genius who had yet to touch the great Tao, Kang Yuan was disdainful. He felt that coming here personally was an insult to his status. Su Yan's enemies are coming one after another. I wonder how the battle between him and the 10 great knights of the ancestral palace is going. Kang Yuan is the supreme being of Tianxian Star Zone. Now that he's here, it's not just because of his relationship with Shueguan, but also because he wants to dominate Big Dipper. After all, he's a supreme being of a star zone. There's no need to talk about his combat power. Whether Su Yan is a powerful dragon or not, we'll know with one look. The images displayed in Space Edge attracted the attention of all the great beings of the various universes. There were even some universe masters from Tianxian, Star Zone, who rushed over and laughed loudly. This Kong Yuan is too arrogant. No matter what, this is still the territory of the Big Dipper race. We have to show them some respect. These words enraged the elders of the Big Dipper branch. Even the Mizar Hall Master and the others were enraged. Although they didn't like Su Yin, the Big Dipper Star region and Mysterious Sky Star region had always been at odds. Currently, Su Yin was the #1 person in the Big Dipper faction on the surface. However, their sworn enemy actually dared to say such words. It was simply arrogant. Ridiculous, Star Element replied coldly. They haven't even started fighting, and you're already so sure that Kong Yuan will win? There's a limit to your confidence. Don't run away when the time comes. Kong Yuan is the supreme being of the younger generation in Tianxian Star Zone. He's at the same level as Shueguan. What's the big deal about Su Yin? Kong Zhengchun replied disdainfully. He was the vice leader of Tianxian sect, and he knew how powerful Kong Yuan was. He didn't think it would be difficult to deal with Su Yin, who had just risen. If you go overboard, it'll be easy to slap your face. Star Element said disdainfully. Hee hee, then I really want to see what kind of prodigy the Big Dipper clan has nurtured. Kong Zhengchun's expression turned cold as he shouted. We'll know if he's a worm or not with just one look. The savage mountain forest was engulfed in a cold, killing aura. The atmosphere was not right. The expressions of the experts from the Big Dipper clan turned gloomy. Kaiyang Juzi and the others were all enraged. Right now, Su Yan's prestige was too great. Every word and action of his would affect the prestige of the Big Dipper clan. However, Kong Yuan humiliated Su Yin like this. It was an insult to the entire Big Dipper clan. In fact, if Su Yin was defeated, it would be a heavy blow to the Big Dipper clan. At this moment, the setting sun ridge was attracting a lot of attention. Many people were looking up at the setting sun ridge. There was a shadow standing high above. His red hair draped over his shoulders, and his entire body was emitting a world-shaking divine might. He was like a huge red star hanging high in the sky. Kong Yuan's battle prowess was shocking. He looked down at the entire setting sun ridge with disdain. Wherever his gaze passed, the cultivators present all kept quiet out of fear. Supreme Kong Yuan, Su Yin hasn't left yet. A member of the Shui family hurried over and reported, I think he's fighting with the 10 great knights of the ancestral palace. It said that the 10 great knights have mastered world-shaking battle formations. I think Su Yan's situation is very bad right now. A trace of coldness flashed through Kong Yuan's eyes. He had crossed over to conquer the Big Dipper clan, and his first battle was against Su Yin. The members of the Shui family really wanted Kong Yuan to kill his way in as well. They wanted to join forces with the ancestral palace and kill Su Yin. I didn't expect Kong Yuan to come out at this juncture. I wonder what the situation inside is like. Shaowen said with a serious expression. Think of a way to delay him. We can't let Kong Yuan go in like this. Otherwise, the situation will be very bad for Su Yin. As soon as they finished speaking, everyone around them gasped. This was because 2 figures came out from the entrance of the underground cave. The smell of blood still lingered on their bodies. This scene stunned everyone. Su Yin had only gone in for a short period of time. Could it be that he had already dealt with the enemy? Those were the 10 great knights of the ancestral palace. Needless to say, their battle prowess was needless to say. No matter how strong Su Yin was, it would be very difficult for him to kill the 10 great knights. Senior brother, Feng Xiaomu, and the others were pleasantly surprised. They hurried over and saluted the moment they saw Yi Yuan covered in blood. If it wasn't for Yi Yuan's sudden appearance, they would have all died here. This was a great favor. Senior brother, he's Kong Yuan, Zuyang said in a low voice. He just got here. It seems like he's ready to fight. The enemies have all gathered together. Su Yan's eyes were cold. His gaze fell on the majestic Kong Yuan, who was standing on top of the setting sun ridge. This person was overlooking the entire setting sun ridge. When he noticed the 2 figures coming out of the underground cave, His body emitted a murderous aura. Suyin has come out. The Shui family's people's eyes were red. They said angrily, Supreme Kong Yuan, it's him. Come out immediately. Kong Yuan's body emitted a murderous aura. Crimson divine clouds surged as he inspected Su Yin and Yi Yuan. He shouted coldly, You dare to kill my mount. How dare you? Come and accept your death. Kong Yuan, wait a moment. Suddenly, a woman floated over. She wore a sky-blue dress and had a noble temperament. She seemed to be the daughter of a great family. There was a hint of authority in her voice. It was obvious that she was a woman who had been in a high position for a long time. Kong Yuan was just about to scold her, but when he saw this woman, he immediately smiled and said, So, it's Miss Zilulan. What's the matter? Zilulan. The people around were stunned. They didn't know who she was. The Star Moon Beast, however, shook its head and walked over. It said, I heard from a master of the star that Zilulan has some status in the Cosmos Business Alliance. She is in charge of managing the businesses in the Tianxian Star Zone. Su Yin frowned. He felt that she was here for the mysterious bone book. It's nothing. Give me some time. I will explain to you later. Zilulan's words made Kong Yuan hesitate for a while. Then he nodded. After all, the Cosmos Business Alliance was the strongest business alliance in the universe. There was no need to say more about the background of this race. Zilulan was in charge of managing the businesses in the Tianxian Star Zone. Her status was not small. Even the great figures of the Tianxian sect had to give her face. Zilulan walked towards Su Yin. She had a noble temperament. A smile appeared on her face. She said with a smile, Su Yin, I am Zilulan. I have heard of your name for a long time. Now that I have met you, you are indeed extraordinary. You are too polite. What do you want? Su Yin asked. I am Zi Xioning's clan sister. Su Yin was not surprised by her words. They should be from the same family. However, compared to Zi Xiaolan, Zi Xioning, this demoness, the gap between them was not small. A straightforward person does not resort to insinuations. Zilulan's attitude was gentle. She smiled sweetly and said, I didn't think that you would be able to complete Sister Zi Xioning's request and find the lost treasure of my race. Tell me, what kind of reward do you want? Did Zi Xioning send you here? Su Yin was a little surprised. He had already placed the treasure in the space of the Phoenix hairpin. How could Zilulan still sense the trace of the treasure? Of course, Zilulan said very politely, This item is too important to my race. Sister Zi Xioning did not dare to be careless, so she sent me here. I didn't think that you would be able to find the lost treasure of my race. Su Yin took out a storage pouch and handed it to Zilulan. Zilulan was pleasantly surprised by what she saw. She quickly grabbed the bag of holding and opened it. When she saw the dried corpse inside, she frowned. After inspecting it carefully, she frowned and asked, That's all? This corpse should be the corpse of your clan's ancestor. Su Yin explained, Of course there are some other things, but I will personally hand them over to Zi Xioning. Hearing this, Zilulan smiled stiffly and said, Su Yin, this is the lost treasure of my race. Why don't you just give it to me and let me escort it back to my clan? This item is very important to my race. I am worried that something will happen to it. Be careful. Yi Yuan's eyes were sharp. She said telepathically, This woman is too hypocritical. The treasure we found is probably not simple. There's more. Zilulan continued telepathically. I don't need to say more about Kong Yuan's combat strength. I will help you resolve this grudge and let you escape unscathed. Consider this as one of the rewards. That's good. Su Yin snorted coldly in his heart. His expression did not change as he said, Let him leave now. When the time comes, we will return to the Cosmos Business Alliance together. What do you think? Hearing this, Zilulan said impatiently, Su Yin, it's not good for you to keep holding on to my clan's treasure. What do you mean? Su Yin raised his eyebrows and said, What do you mean by keep holding on to it? If I didn't take the risk to take the treasure away, you wouldn't have found it. Moreover, I made a deal with Zi Xioning. It doesn't seem to have much to do with you. Zilulan's smile slowly disappeared. Her tone was shocked and angry as she said, What a good not much to do with me. Do you want to take my clan's treasure for yourself? Think carefully. What kind of power is the Cosmos Business Alliance? Can you afford to offend them? Don't try to scare me here. Su Yin sneered. I don't think Zi Xioning sent you here. Anyway, I will pass the treasure to Zi Xioning. Also, if you don't want to send the corpse back to your clan for a proper burial, you can give it to me as well. Bastard, Zi Lulan said angrily. How dare you speak to me like that? Do you know who I am? Even Kong Yuan is respectful to me. Su Yin, you better think carefully. What are the consequences of offending the Cosmos Business Alliance? Su Yan's expression was cold. He said, I don't care what kind of internal strife your clan has. In short, I will pass the treasure to Zi Xioning, not you. Damn it. Zi Lulan's face flashed with coldness. Because of her anger, arcs of electricity appeared all over her body. As for the corpse in the storage bag she was holding, it was immediately shattered into pieces. Yuan's face was filled with anger. He strode forward and pointed at Zi Lulan. He said angrily, This is the corpse of your clan's patriarch. How could you do this? Yuan was angry. After all, he had obtained the Solar Fist, a shocking secret technique. It allowed his cultivation to improve by leaps and bounds. He was grateful to Zi Zhangqiu. No matter what, Zi Zhangqiu was still the patriarch of the Zi clan. However, Zi Lulan had destroyed his corpse. Su Yan's expression was also cold. He recalled the words Zi Zhangqiu had left behind on the rag and was furious. Zi Zhangqiu had spent so much effort to protect the inheritance, but she had turned the corpse into ashes in her anger. If Zi Zhangqiu knew about this in the underworld, what would he think? Zi Lulan floated back. Her expression was gloomy. She said to Kong Yuan coldly, You go and take his head. I will take something from his body. As thanks, our Cosmos Business Alliance will only cooperate with your Heaven Mystery Sect in the Tianxian Star Zone. After saying this, she looked at Su Yin with sarcasm and sneered. I try to persuade you, and I am grateful. Since you insist on going against me, don't blame me for being ruthless. Ha ha ha. Kong Yuan laughed. His red hair danced wildly. He stared at Su Yin and Yuan and shouted, Which one of you is Su Yin? Stand out and accept your death. Chapter 330. The vast sunset ridge was so quiet that one could hear a pin drop. The cultivators who heard this were stunned. Who was Kong Yuan? He was the strongest person in the Tianxian Star Zone and had been recognized by the Great Tao of the Star Zone. Now, he had come with great fanfare to suppress Su Yin and start his first battle on the Big Dipper. However, when the two of them met, Su Yan's words made everyone's hair stand on end. Grandpa was here? The cultivators' expressions were very interesting. Then, their killing intent surged like a raging wave, rumbling. The entire sunset ridge was filled with a soul-shaking, killing intent. Kong Yuan's anger could not be stopped. Su Yan's words had made him furious. His red hair danced wildly in the air. His entire treasure body emitted a resplendent glow, illuminating the entire sunset ridge in a scarlet-red color. How dare you humiliate me? He said in a low voice. It was as if a huge red star was crashing down with shocking power. The collision caused layers of the void to sink. It was as if an extraterrestrial star had fallen from the sky with a vast divine might, causing the scalps of the cultivators in the sunset ridge to go numb. They felt as if they were about to be crushed by the invisible force that Kong Yuan pulled out. They're fighting. Whether Su Yin can stand firm and fight for the title of supremacy depends on this battle. The place was in an uproar. After all, Kong Yuan had risen for decades, while Su Yin was a rising star of the Big Dipper bloodline. His fame was far less than Kong Yuan's. Even the families in the nearby star zones didn't know who Su Yin was. However, some people agreed with him. They felt that Su Yin had shocking power and was the overlord of the younger generation in the Big Dipper star zone. I'll destroy you. The sound of killing reverberated throughout the sunset ridge. The cultivators who had come to watch the battle saw the sky above the sunset ridge filled with red clouds. A shadow rushed over and waved his fist. Brilliant light shone from it. Everyone could feel Kong Yuan's spiritual will. He wanted to destroy Su Yan's will with one punch. Boom! Su Yan's palm formed a fist seal and waved upwards. Although it seemed slow, actually contained a vast amount of power. Some people seemed to see a giant standing behind Su Yan, wielding a world-shaking power. One was a genius from the Big Dipper clan, while the other was a celestial realm paragon from the profound sky starfield. Their fists collided, and the sound waves rolled out. This was only a preliminary test between them. The real battle had just begun. Boom! The moment their fists collided, Kong Yuan's aura suddenly skyrocketed. His entire body was like a waterfall of divine light, surging like lightning. The aura that flowed out of his fist blazed by a great deal. What a terrifying fist technique. It's as if I'm looking at a huge star charging towards me. Someone exclaimed. This punch was getting more and more terrifying. It was enough to shatter mountains and split seas. The huge sunset ridge seemed to be shaken by the force of the punch. Kong Yuan was domineering and domineering. He descended from the sky, wanting to kill Su Yan with one punch. Scarlet clouds filled the sky. But what was shocking was that strands of heaven-piercing power had awakened. The entire sunset ridge trembled, and the ground seemed like it was about to collapse. Roar! Su Yan erupted with all his strength. His aura was completely different. He was like an ancient dragon that looked down on the world. The power he released was tyrannical to the extreme. The moment his fist smashed out, the sky filled with scarlet clouds exploded, accompanied by a bloody light. Heavens, he's bleeding. This is too fast. Some people paled. The fight had just begun, but someone had already been injured and was bleeding. I've said it before. Su Yan hasn't developed the battle strength of an overlord. He can't compete with Kong Yuan. But Su Yan is also incredible. He was able to withstand Kong Yuan's punch. It's enough to see Su Yan's potential. His future achievements will be extraordinary. All the cultivators present were in discussion. They saw Kong Yuan raise his head to the sky and let out a long hiss. His battle prowess rose little by little. Scarlet light poured down from his entire body like an ocean. Moreover, punch after punch bombarded Su Yan. What a good Kong Yuan. He's ruthless and merciless. It looks like he's not going to show any mercy. Is he trying to kill Su Yan? Although it's said that a star field can only have one star field supreme, only those who look down on the surrounding star field can be called the supreme of the younger generation. The discussion of the surrounding people made the battle even more intense. The entire sunset ridge was drowned in the scarlet clouds. The clouds were brilliant. They could see how powerful Kong Yuan was. He let out a killing cry that shook the heavens. He waved his fists and smashed down. During the process, blood constantly splashed out, dyeing the void red. Su Yan is being suppressed too fiercely. Some people were shocked by Kong Yuan's battle strength. The entire sky was filled with scarlet clouds. His divine power was boundless. It made them shudder with fear. He was indeed a star field supreme. Su Yan's figure was a bit blurry. However, he was still waving his fists. Every punch was heavy and fierce as he met Kong Yuan's attack. Kill! Kong Yuan shouted angrily. He wielded his life force and activated his strongest physical battle strength. He bombarded Su Yan with a domineering and flourishing stance. Why do I feel like Kong Yuan is angry? Hasn't he been suppressing Su Yan all this time? Some people expressed their astonishment. The battle was too intense. The divine light was too dazzling. They couldn't clearly see the battle. Kong Yuan is probably angry. He's been attacking for a long time without success. He's very angry. Someone sneered. No matter what, Su Yan is still a prodigy of the Big Dipper lineage. But if you want to kill him, you could do it in 3 moves. That's reasonable. Some people sighed in admiration and agreed with this statement. Others exclaimed, Kong Yuan is already so astonishing. Then how strong are those young supreme experts who move unhindered in the universe? How terrifying are the outstanding talents cultivated by the 10 most powerful life forms? Myriad Star Seal. Right at this moment, a roar that was filled with anger reverberated in this place. Under the shocking gazes of the surrounding people, the crimson divine light that flowed in the sunset ridge surged together and formed a crimson, divine waterfall. Crimson stars bobbed up and down one after another within the crimson, divine waterfall. What a Kong Yuan! He's even cultivated the myriad star seal. This is a peak great ability. It's the secret technique of the Tianxian star field. Many people cried out in surprise. A shocking scene had formed above the sunset ridge. The stars were arranged and surrounded by scarlet clouds, forming a great killing seal. Kill. Kong Yuan was like the lord of the stars. He evolved a peak killing power. The huge sunset ridge seemed to be on the verge of collapse. Everything was blurry. They couldn't see clearly. Good. The scene revealed by the cosmic edge made Kong Zhengchun overjoyed. He laughed and said, "Myriad star seal? It's already been fought out. It seems like this Su Yin has some battle prowess. The Big Dipper lineage has really cultivated a prodigy. Not bad, not bad." Just as he finished speaking, everyone looked as if they had seen a ghost. The crowd watching the Battle of the Sunset Ridge was also petrified. These were strands of vast and majestic energy. They were vibrating under the suppression of the stars. The golden divine light was like a killing sword that cut open the sealed energy. When a blurry dragon opened its eyes, the energy that spread out caused the stars to tremble. Dong! Su Yan's shadow suddenly blazed like a sun rising into the sky. He punched out, shattering the universe and causing the stars in the sky to explode. Dong dong! Su Yan punched out 3 times in a row. The sound was deafening, causing the entire sunset ridge to tremble. Some people clutched their hearts. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. Su Yan's fist was like a bombardment on everyone's heart. They couldn't bear it. The fist wind rippled in the sunset ridge. Golden ripples spread out and struck in all directions. The huge sunset ridge trembled incessantly, and some people were sent flying by the tremors. Oh my God! Countless cultivators turned pale. This was too heaven-defying. What kind of power could give birth to such strength? Kong Yuan couldn't bear it and was sent flying. His fists were badly mangled. Blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. He had suffered serious internal injuries. In the end, he couldn't bear it. He spat out a mouthful of blood. His life force was weak. The onlookers were stunned. Some looked at Su Yin and saw that he was unharmed. "We saw wrongly," a trembling voice was heard. Actually, the one who was injured from the start was Kong Yuan, not Su Yin. Now, his fists were badly mangled. Even his bones were shattered. Who knew how many tyrannical attacks he had suffered? How can this Su Yin be so strong? Could it be that he already has the power of a young overlord? Zilalan's expression was strange. Although Kong Yuan wasn't very famous in the universe, he was one of the strongest of the younger generation in the nearby star regions. But now, Kong Yuan was almost destroyed by Su Yin. It was as if they were no longer on the same level. This shocked Zilulan. Could it be that Su Yin was invincible in hundreds of star regions? Would he be qualified to compete with Jie from the strongest life ancient star in the future? "Su Yin, I'm going to kill you." Kong Yuan's eyes were about to pop out. He roared, "Kill you? Give me your life. No matter how strong you are, you can't stop a star region supreme. You're destined to be a green leaf. Kill." Kaboom! The heaven and earth roared. A blurry yet majestic projection appeared behind Kong Yuan. It was overflowing with colorful lights and thousands of rays of divine light. It rippled with a vast aura. It was as if a miniature version of the Tianxian star region was floating behind him. The sunset ridge emitted a holy aura. It also released wisps of supreme might, causing the entire sunset ridge to be dazzling. What was this? This was the brand of the star region's Great Tao. If it wasn't for the suppression of the Big Dipper, the Great Tao brand would be quite heaven-defying. But even without the Great Tao's might, this brand still made all living things tremble and want to shatter. What made everyone present even more shocked was that Su Yin suddenly erupted. A true dragon revolved around his body as he pounced forward. His entire body was filled with killing intent. Boom! The terrifying and earth-shaking punch pierced through the void, causing the entire sunset ridge to tremble and many large cracks to appear on its surface. It's just a brand. How'd it give you so much courage? Kong Yuan, give me your life. Su Yin let out a deep roar. He pushed his peak battle strength. A terrifying blood chi spread out in all directions, causing the surrounding cultivators to tremble. They felt as if they had fallen into a furnace. The essence blood in his body was too vigorous. Chapter 331. A true dragon broke through the clouds with boundless strength. The true dragon looked down upon the world with disdain. Moreover, it was burning with endless divine light as it swept through the vast mountain forest. The massive sunset ridge could not withstand the true dragon's body and was about to be destroyed. The power of this Dharma idol was shocking. Su Yin erupted and met the attack head-on. His fist pierced through the void, surging with unparalleled divine might as it struck towards Kong Yuan. Ah! Kong Yuan let out a cry of shock and anger. His hair was disheveled, but he had activated the great Tao of the stellar domain. His combat strength had soared to its peak, and as he recovered, the vague yet majestic stellar domain behind him shook along with him. This was a peerless collision. The sunset ridge trembled 3 times as countless large cracks appeared. The massive mountain range trembled along with it. Boom! The two fists collided here. Boundless sound waves wreaked havoc, rippling with monstrous energy. They swept through the vast sky and collapsed the clouds. Su Yin emitted waves of divine light that were even more ferocious than the previous. Some people seemed to have seen a heavenly cauldron soaring into the sky. The moment it was swallowed and spat out a blazing essence bloodlight, it caused the entire sky to be pitch black like ink. What a terrifying Su Yin. His combat strength is too abnormal. Some of the geniuses from the outer realms were shocked. The speed at which he absorbed the divine might of heaven and earth was too astonishing. It was as if a dragon was breathing here, causing their blood to boil. Boom! A deafening explosion rang out, shaking the crowd of onlooking cultivators until they were dizzy and almost fainted. However, the continuous explosions caused some people to find it difficult to withstand. They frantically ran for their lives, afraid of being shaken to death. Heavens! From far away, some people saw the heavenly dragon constantly soaring into the sky. Su Yin stood above the sunset ridge with peerless valor. Punch after punch, he bombarded Kong Yuan. Even though Kong Yuan had activated his stellar domain brand and activated his shocking combat strength, he felt as if his body and soul were about to be destroyed when faced with Su Yan's barbaric and domineering fists. Ah! Kong Yuan let out a sorrowful and indignant voice. No matter how strong his strength was, no matter how shocking the star domain imprint was, it was still very difficult to block Su Yan's strength. There was a world-shaking punch coming down, causing Kong Yuan's body to tremble. He has cultivated a peerless battle constitution. Someone saw the clues. Su Yan's battle constitution had made them pale. It was like a heavenly furnace in the sky. Just how terrifying of a battle constitution was this? Every single fist pierced through the heavens and earth, stirring up heavenly winds. It was as if an unmatched hero was violently attacking here, using a domineering stance to beat Kong Yuan until he couldn't even raise his head. Great! Star, star, star. Star Element was full of heroism. His words were like the sound of a golden bell ringing in the mountains. The universe masters who were watching the battle were all stunned. Su Yan's combat power was indeed frightening and boundless. Even someone as strong as the Star Sector leader of Tianxian, Star Sector, couldn't even raise his head. He was about to be smashed apart by Su Yan's punch. B** starred. Kong Jingchuan's face was extremely ugly, and his scalp was numb. How could Su Yin be so strong? Kong Yuan had been recognized by the great path of the Tianxian, Star Domain. Although he could not display his power, it was enough to show Kong Yuan's strength. However, the current Kong Yuan seemed to be in a completely different realm from Su Yin. The entire sky was filled with fist auras. They were resplendent and domineering, causing the entire sunset ridge to tremble. Some of the mountains even collapsed, causing rocks to fall all over the ground. Be asterisk starred. Kong Yuan shouted angrily. He suddenly took out a sword embryo. The moment the Tian Xian sword technique was activated, millions of sword auras whizzed out. In the world of sword auras, Kong Yuan forced Su Yin to retreat. He held the Tian Xian sword technique and started to slash at Su Yin. Chi. Su Yin was calm. He took out a blood-colored halberd and slashed fiercely. The great void slash swept out and seemed to have split open a ravine. No matter how amazing the sword auras were, they could not get close to Su Yin. He even waved the blood-colored halberd and crossed the void to attack Kong Yuan. Clang, clang. The two weapons clashed. The blood-colored halberd hit Kong Yuan's killing sword. Strands of terrifying destructive power swept over. Kong Yuan's palm was cracked and blood was spilling out. Kill! Su Yin shouted. His hair danced in the wind, revealing a fiend-godlike ferocious light. That peerless aura, boundless battle strength, and a spirit forged from iron and blood gathered together. It was as if a fiend-godlike figure was standing in the void and roaring. No, there was a trace of fear in Kong Yuan's heart as he turned around and ran. He wasn't willing to stay for even a moment longer. He had the feeling of facing a young Overlord that had swept through the universe. He had once met a young Overlord like Su Yin, and he had almost submitted to them. The onlookers were killed, and Kong Yuan escaped. Be asterisk starred. Kong Jingchun almost spat out a mouthful of blood. It was unknown whether he was scolding Su Yin or blaming Kong Yuan. After all, if Kong Yuan escaped, the reputation of the Tianxian Star region would be greatly damaged. He was the strongest of a younger generation chosen by the Tianxian Star region's Great Tao to represent the Tianxian Star region in the battle against the Big Dipper Star region. Eldest senior brother is mighty. Xiao Wan and the others laughed maniacally and chased after Kong Yuan. The disdainful look from all around made Kong Yuan furious. It wasn't that he didn't want to fight with Su Yin, but that the other party was too ferocious. If they continued fighting, he would definitely die. However, while Kong Yuan was running, he felt a chill run down his spine. It was as if a fiend-godlike hand was slapping him. Under the shrinking ground, Su Yin traversed through time and space like a mighty lord. The ferocious aura that spread out from his body caused Kong Yuan to tremble in fear. He turned around and slashed his killing sword at Su Yin. Boom! The blood-red halberd exploded again. The blood-red light surged and crushed all the sword light. The killing sword trembled and was on the verge of breaking. Crack! Kong Yuan's entire arm was broken. He screamed, Su Yin, don't force me to use violence. Kneel down and accept your death. Su Yin imitated Kong Yuan's tone and spoke coldly. Once these words were spoken, everyone trembled. Who could withstand such humiliation? Especially for Kong Yuan. If he knelt down, the powerhouses of the mysterious sky star region would not forgive him. You've gone too far. Die. Kong Yuan's eyes widened in anger. His entire body seemed to be burning. Behind him, a star region seemed to be tumbling. The destructive fluctuations that flowed out made one's hair stand on end. It was as if it would shatter. Bastard, stop. Kong Jingchun was about to go crazy. His nose was crooked from anger. This was the mark of the mysterious sky, Star Region's Great Tao. Once he used it, it was the same as giving up the mark of the Great Tao. It was even possible that this mark of the Great Tao would be obtained by Su Yin. In the world of cultivation, there were many people who stole the mark of the Great Tao. If news of this spread, it was also possible to steal the title of Supreme Star Region. However, this was also a great killing technique. Many Supreme Star Region had used the mark of the Great Tao to kill their enemies. However, once they used it, they would lose the title of Supreme Star Region. Not good. Senior brother, be careful. Su Yin was aghast. Kong Yuan had been forced to use the mark of the mysterious sky, Star Region's Great Tao in desperation. The entire sunset ridge exuded destructive waves. When the mark of the Great Tao appeared, it did not have the image of the Great Tao. However, its aura was magnificent. It was as if an ancient sea of stars had descended, surrounded by terrifying Genesis Chi. Die! Kong Yuan let out a ferocious roar. He activated the mark of the Great Tao and swallowed Su Yin. Su Yan's body and soul were about to be destroyed in a single exchange. This was an unimaginable energy that originated from the mark of the mysterious star region's Great Tao. It was equivalent to a part of the essence of the mysterious star region. It ruthlessly swallowed Su Yin. Haha, the outcome is certain. The Shui family was overjoyed. They did not care about Kong Yuan's life or death. However, Su Yin was doomed. Even if he killed Kong Yuan, his life force would be extinguished by the mark of the Great Tao. Su Yan's entire body trembled. His entire body was about to shatter. It was as if 10,000 swords were stabbing into Su Yan's soul. The pain was unbearable. Su Yin felt like he was about to explode. He roared at the sky and unleashed his strongest foundation. He summoned the Great Tao Heavenly Furnace and defended. However, it was very difficult to defend against. This was the most terrifying power. It had already touched the Big Dipper and was about to crush Su Yin. It wanted to tear him to pieces. However, under such a supreme, killing technique, Su Yin's body blazed. An ancient power emerged from his body. It seemed to be able to devour the universe's myriad worlds and encompass the creation of heaven and earth. Su Yin recovered from the pain. He was shocked to find that his body needed this kind of energy. It seemed to be able to devour the mark of the mysterious star region. Boom! At that moment, Su Yin was in pain. Kong Yuan took the opportunity to attack. He punched Su Yin until he coughed up large mouthfuls of blood. Bastard, stop! Yi Yuan and the others were furious. They rushed forward to stop Kong Yuan. However, they couldn't rush over it all under the Great Tao of the mysterious star region. The place where Su Yin was like a sea of stars. There was a fatal force. Only Kong Yuan could charge in. He laughed sinisterly. Go to hell, Su Yin. The punch smashed straight at him. It was going to blow open his head. Su Yin. Angry roars were heard from all directions. Blood flowed out of the corners of their eyes. However, no matter how loud their roars were, it was difficult for them to help Su Yin. The punch made Su Yan's hair stand on end. His whole body was rippling with monstrous anger. His body was awakened. It was like the heavenly furnace was stealing the origin power of the Tianxian star region. At the same time, his whole fist rose, revealing the aura of the heavens. A huge projection appeared in the universe. Kill! Su Yin waved a shocking punch. The 7 stars connected and turned into a cosmic giant. The vast divine might of the heavens rushed out. How terrifying! Some people trembled from the bottom of their souls. Their bodies were about to shatter. In particular, the entire sunset ridge trembled incessantly. The moment Su Yan's fist erupted, the entire sunset ridge exploded with a boom. Terrifying energy ripples swept across. It was as if a celestial body had fallen from the sky. The onlookers were blown away. It was a spectacular scene. The moment the peerless punch appeared, Kong Yuan trembled in fear. His eyes were full of despair. He shouted, "No!" Boom! The punch was launched. Thunder rumbled and the fist aura destroyed everything. The universe trembled. Chapter 332. The entire world was still rippling with destructive ripples, destroying all things and shaking the heavens. Kong Yuan had been smashed to pieces. His blood had been evaporated by Su Yan's blazing fist aura. Kong Yuan is dead. He was actually killed by Su Yan's fist. The stunned crowd sucked in a breath of cold air. They saw Su Yin being suppressed by the power of a star domain, but he was still able to erupt with his strongest fist and smash Kong Yuan into ashes. What kind of terrifying method was this? This was Kong Yuan, and yet he had been killed by Su Yan's fist. They still couldn't believe it. Su Yin, who had provoked Su Yin and forced him to kneel at the gates of Big Dipper City, had actually killed Kong Yuan with a single fist. This was a supreme star domain master. Zi Lulan was stunned. This was because Su Yin was standing in an absolutely tyrannical domain and had killed Kong Yuan. This was very important. This meant that Su Yan's combat strength hadn't reached its limit yet. Big Dipper Palace's aura. The moment Su Yin punched out, he was pleasantly surprised. He had discovered traces of Big Dipper Palace. Su Yin could clearly feel that Big Dipper Palace was located in the core region. However, at this moment, the masterless star domain essence began to shake. It was too terrifying. It was enough to destroy everything and strangle all life forms that dared to touch it. Su Yan's body was about to be torn apart. He discovered that without Kong Yuan's control, the mysterious star domain's source strength was like a wild horse that had broken free of its reins, giving birth to a terrifying, destructive force. Damn it! Su Yan was in so much pain that he wished he was dead. His injuries were especially severe. His entire body was about to be torn apart and destroyed here and there. At this moment, a killing weapon was brought out. Several Shui family disciples rushed forwards, bringing out their killing weapons. They wanted to seize this opportunity to eliminate Su Yan. Scram! Yi Yuan let out a furious roar. Holding a blood-red spear, he wildly hacked at the Shui family members. Waves of blood-red waves swept over, causing the members of the Shui family to die tragically on the spot. Yi Yuan's expression was cold. He held the blood spear and stood near Su Yan. His cold eyes scanned the surroundings. If anyone dared to approach, he would definitely kill them. Even Zilulan didn't dare act rashly. However, she said, "Let's make a deal. Give me the item, and I'll get it to Su Yan." The surrounding people paled. What kind of treasure did Su Yan obtain? To actually make the purple-green orchid willingly give up a quasi-sage medicine? Get away from me! Yi Yuan's eyes flashed with a cold light as he shouted, "If you dare to come near here, I will kill you." Zilulan's expression was so ferocious that it was almost twisted. She was the leader of the Star Domain Commerce Alliance, yet she was being berated and even threatened by Yi Yuan. This made her so angry that smoke almost came out of her. Many Big Dipper disciples also rushed over and sealed off the area, not allowing anyone to come near. The broken Sunset Ridge was filled with killing intent. No one doubted the Big Dipper's determination. Crack! The next moment, the surrounding people were shocked. They discovered that Su Yan's body in the Star Domain source had begun to crack, as if it was going to shatter. This is bad. What should we do now? Xiao was extremely anxious. Quickly go outside and ask the elders what to do. Some disciples even want to charge in and open the Star Domain source to bring Su Yan out. A warm-hearted old cultivator hurriedly stood out to stop them. Don't act rashly. This is the Star Domain source. If you act rashly, you will end up like Su Yan. You can't withstand the power of the Star Domain source. A quasi-sage medicine is too important to a dying person. Zilulan could not help but speak up. Her gaze swept over Yi Yuan's eyes, which rippled with killing intent. Zilulan was truly afraid and did not dare to make sound. You shouldn't be refined to death. Although it's a Star Domain Great Tao, it can't unleash the power of the Great Tao on the Big Dipper. Perhaps it will become a great supplement for Su Yan. Tai Baokai took out his golden bamboo to prevent anyone from sneaking up on him. These few days would be very important, and no one could disturb him. The broken Sunset Ridge was silent. Everyone's eyes were fixed on Su Yan, who was constantly being devoured by the Star Domain source. In this colorful space, the Star Domain source's power was as resplendent as the Milky Way. However, it was also very terrifying. It produced a terrifying, destructive force that wanted to tear Su Yan apart. Bastard, what the hell is this? Su Yan let out an angry roar. The Star Domain source had already seeped into his body and was about to cut off his vitality. However, Su Yan's body was stimulated and finally awakened. Waves of ancient power surged out, filled with the aura of calamity. The ancient body emitted wisps of terrifying, devouring power, causing the Star Domain source to tremble and shatter. It transformed into the purest Star Domain power, replenishing Su Yan's losses. Refine, this thing is very useful to me. Su Yan sat cross-legged with difficulty. His body was like a heavenly furnace as he revolved the beginning sutra, drawing out the divine power within his body. It was as if he had transformed into a giant beast that was devouring the star domain power. The surging star domain essence sprinkled into Su Yan's body. It was like bamboo after the rain, nourishing Su Yan's body. At the same time, it was a great supplement. It allowed Su Yan's wounded body to rapidly recover, and his declining vitality flourished once more. Su Yan felt a kind of joy that came from his soul. This made him excited. This energy was very useful to him, and it could definitely make up for some of the flaws in his body. Look, the star domain imprint is not being refined to death, and Su Yan is even absorbing the star domain imprint's essence. This is too abnormal, too abnormal. He can even take away the star domain source chi. This is a great supplement. The scene that appeared in the Cosmic Edge was unbelievable. This was too savage. Even the star domain imprint could not kill Su Yan, and it could even help him obtain the star domain imprint's essence. Could Su Yan have obtained the recognition of the great Tao of Tianxian Starfield? Someone asked. Star Element retorted, impossible. How powerful are the heavens prides of our Big Dipper clan? Why would we need a great Tao imprint of Tianxian Starfield? I think we should just give it to a random disciple and let him become the trusted supreme of Tianxian Starfield. The group's eyes almost popped out. Giving it to a random disciple? Wasn't this taking Tianxian Starfield too lightly? Shut up. Kong Jingchuan's eyes were bloodshot. Kong Yuan's death was too thorough. He was beaten into ashes. He originally came to fight for the Big Dipper Starfield, but in the end, he was beaten to death by Su Yan in the first battle. Ha ha ha. Many of the Big Dipper clan's prides laughed heartily. They had fought with Tianxian Starfield for so many years, and this was the first time they felt so relieved. Some of the universe's overlords were speechless. Su Yan had completely risen. Even Kong Yuan couldn't raise his head after being beaten by him. His status as a young overlord was already set. In the future, he would be qualified to fight for the supreme title of the Big Dipper Starfield. Wong. In the dilapidated Sunset Ridge, essence energy pierced through the clouds. The star domain source chi was exuberant to the extreme, forming a star domain pool that contained the essence of the star domain source chi. The endless star domain source chi surged. The moment it penetrated Su Yan's body, his treasured body surged with incomparable transcendence, divine power. The originally dormant divine power in his body suddenly surged and pierced through the clouds, causing the sky to tremble. Oh my God, he broke through. The onlookers were all petrified. The star domain source chi was originally a lethal force, but now he had broken through a minor level and stepped into the fifth sky of the transcendence realm. Some of the outer domain talents' faces darkened. Kong Yuan's ultimate technique had now become a great supplement for Su Yan. It had even helped him break through and step into a minor level. Some people's expressions changed. Su Yan hadn't stepped into the pinnacle of the transcendence realm yet. Not bad, not bad. This is a great opportunity. You can imagine how pure the star domain source chi is. Even I want to soak in a hot spring in the star domain source chi. Star Element let out a long laugh. The wrinkles on his old face dispersed, and he looked a few years younger. Some of the universe's overlords were confused. They had never heard of such a thing. This was the star domain source chi. Su Yan wasn't a star domain supreme, but he could absorb this godly power to cultivate. Kong Jingchuan's expression was extremely ugly. He was so angry that his whole body trembled. This was nothing. If this news spread, the Tianxian Star Zone would be humiliated. In short, the Tianxian Star Zone had lost too badly this time. Buzz. Silver light sprinkled down from the sky above the dilapidated Sunset Ridge. It was sacred and solemn. Su Yan sat cross-legged on the ground. His body was radiant, and his vitality was vigorous. Waves of earth-shaking origin power flowed out of the origin of the star domain he was in, penetrating Su Yan's fleshly body and nourishing his blood and bones. This kind of energy was so terrifying that it made Su Yan's hair stand on end. Because it could nourish the origin energy, The origin energy excavated from Su Yan's body started to increase rapidly. Of course, the most important thing was that Su Yan's body had been perfected. Is this the power of the Great Path? Then, Su Yan shockingly discovered that the Star Domain brand's power of the Great Path had been refined under the initial sutra's refinement. If this were spread, it would scare everyone to death. Who could refine a Star Domain Great Path? Although it was an ownerless Great Path brand, Su Yan had indeed refined it. He could feel that this strength was a great supplement to him. Not good. The Star Domain's source chi is collapsing. Su Yan's complexion changed. He discovered that the Star Domain's source chi that covered him was rapidly dissipating. This energy was reversing the heavens and earth. His body began to shine. He used a great supernatural ability to suppress the Star Domain source chi and slow down the rate at which it was collapsing. At the same time, Su Yan crazily absorbed the Star Domain source chi. He stored the Star Domain source chi in his body and prepared to go into seclusion to refine the God Force in his body. Mother asterisk her, he's too greedy. Su Yan wants to seal away all of the Star Domain source chi and refine it all. The Star Domain source chi that was enough to make a person hover between life and death had now become a great supplement for Su Yan. But he still wasn't satisfied. He wanted to refine all of the Star Domain source chi and make up for the flaws in his body. Su Yan had a premonition that if he completely refined all of this energy, it would be very likely for his body to undergo a sublimation. Days passed. Su Yan had stored a massive amount of divine energy. The Star Domain source chi had almost completely collapsed. Big news. Shueguan is comprehending the Great Path. He might become the Supreme Big Dipper. Chapter 333. Outside the desolate mountain forest, all the masters of the universe who had gathered here lost their composure. Shueguan had already entered the domain of Tao comprehension. His entire body released a divine radiance that shot into the sky and illuminated the starry sky. The radiant divine splendor rendered the desolate mountain forest dazzling. People discovered that his aura was even stronger than before. The dragon and phoenix soared into the sky and filled the sky. It was as if two supreme beings had opened their eyes. It was intimidating. This was nothing. Strange phenomena appeared in the world. One after another, golden lotuses of the great Tao appeared and took root in the void. They chanted the heavenly voice of the great Tao, and the sound was deafening. It was as if thunder from the 9 heavens was ringing incessantly. The area where Shueguan was solemn and dignified. The aura of the great Tao pervaded the area. He was like a god sitting cross-legged in the void. Ancient scripture sounds were transmitted from his body. They were divine and holy, as if a terrifying Almighty was chanting true scriptures inside his body. He has grasped a shocking ancient heavenly technique. Someone asserted. They discovered that the scripture sounds transmitted from Shueguan's body were extremely shocking. They contained a vast aura of the great Tao. Boom! The divine radiance between heaven and earth was like an ocean. The sound of the great Tao rumbled. The aura within Shueguan's body became more and more transcendent and divine. The light of the great Tao around his body became clearer and clearer. It was as if it was about to directly manifest and illuminate the starry sky. Shueguan is comprehending the great Tao. This news spread out and caused a huge earthquake. It swept through the entire Big Dipper. The crowd was suffocated. Once Shueguan succeeded in comprehending the great Tao at his age, he would undoubtedly become the Big Dipper Supreme. If he really did cross over, then all the other geniuses would pale in comparison to him. Ha ha ha! The Shui family head couldn't stop laughing. Once Shueguan crossed over, even if Su Yan and the Supreme Body were 10 times stronger, they wouldn't be able to withstand the might of one palm from Shueguan. Countless strange phenomena appeared behind Shueguan. They carried the aura of the great Tao and surged with boundless momentum. Boom! Shueguan's body transmitted the divine might of the Great Path, and his pores emitted the light of the Great Path. The power of the Great Path was nurtured in his body. and his might suddenly blazed. It was as if a person who had achieved the great path had been born here. He has stepped into the quasi-Dao realm. The crowd turned pale. They didn't expect Shui Guan to have taken half a step. Once he stepped into the quasi-Dao realm, it was the same as obtaining the past master's token. He was very close to this step. In a vast universe, almost everyone in this generation was in this domain. In other words, Shui Guan already possessed the qualifications to enter the great universe and compete with the geniuses of the various star fields. Haha, my son is the champion. He's invincible. Shui family head was in high spirits. His bald head was swept away, and he kept laughing. I have already stepped into the quasi-Dao realm. Ha ha. Some of the doyens of the Big Dipper lineage had uncertain expressions. Shui Guan had already stepped into this step. Although Su Yin had already caught up to Shui Guan had taken another step. The gap between this step and the Dharma characteristic realm was like a chasm. Over the years, many geniuses have been unable to step into the great Dao realm. But now, Shui Guan had opened up a path to the heavens. The doyens and mighty rulers of the various clans all spoke up, praising Shui Guan and praising him. This made the people of the Shui family straighten their backs and laugh loudly. The various clans had already seen the situation clearly. Even if heaven-defying geniuses appeared in front of Shui Guan, they would take the initiative to become green leaves and serve as a foil. Shui Guan is really terrifying. The Outer Realm geniuses were all speechless. It seems like the Big Dipper Paragon is Shui Guan's. No matter how strong Su Yin and his Paragon physique are in front of Shui Guan, they pale in comparison. Why don't I see the great Tao of the star domain manifest? There are also people who were puzzled. Could it be that Shui Guan's comprehension was inferior to Kong Yuan's? Don't compare the Tianxian star domain with the Big Dipper star domain. The Big Dipper star domain's star domain paragon has to step into the great Tao realm in order to obtain the title of star domain paragon. Someone explained. After all, it was one of the 10 most powerful ancient star domains in the past. It wasn't that easy to obtain its recognition. Even if a genius stepped into the great Tao realm, they might not necessarily be able to obtain it. He has actually cultivated to this step. Su Yin had already come out of seclusion. He spat out all the divine powers sealed in his treasure body. They were like swimming dragons that were stored in a jade bottle by Su Yin. This was the divine power that was wrapped up. It would be of great use at critical moments. I want to go to the Big Dipper Palace. Su Yan's words made Xiao Wen and the others' jaws drop. Su Yin had found the Big Dipper Palace? Seeing Su Yin nod, their emotions surged. This was the Big Dipper lineage, the supreme palace of the ancient era. Su Yin made a prompt decision. He circulated the Big Dipper fist. However, this feeling made Su Yan's expression change. He discovered that the entire Big Dipper was faintly awakening. This is bad. Su Yan's expression changed drastically. The Big Dipper had already awakened for 1 or 2 days. In fact, the awakening speed was even accelerating now. The sleeping Big Dipper was like an immortal weapon that was beginning to erupt. What was this? The Great Tao was about to be born. What's going on? Everyone present was astonished because they discovered that Su Yin and the other two were rapidly retreating as if they had been frightened. Senior brother. Xiao Wen and the others were astonished. Why did Su Yin escape after breaking through? The surrounding onlookers were also stunned. What had happened? The Big Dipper has opened. However, in the Wilderness Mountain Forest, Shui Guan suddenly opened his eyes and shouted, I feel the power of the Big Dipper's great Tao. What did you say? The surrounding cultivators' expressions changed drastically. The Golden Dragon King and the others gasped. He felt the power of the Big Dipper's great Tao. Shui Guan felt the power of the Big Dipper's great Tao. This meant that he was really qualified to receive the title of Big Dipper Supreme. This was a very important signal. No, the Big Dipper has opened. Star Element's expression turned gloomy. Then, he discovered that Kong Jingchun and the others had disappeared. This is bad. The Big Dipper lineage's elders were at a loss. Once the Big Dipper opened, there would definitely be mighty lords secretly targeting Su Yin. Boom! The moment they stepped into the Big Dipper, the originally silent Big Dipper suddenly blazed endlessly. It was as if a huge dam had collapsed in the entire territory, and a divine sound shook the heavens. The Big Dipper also emerged. Billions of rays of great Tao light illuminated the universe, causing the entire Big Dipper constellation to become extremely resplendent. The light was too terrifying. The nearby powerhouses all saw it. This was the sign of the Big Dipper opening. Quick, let's go to the Big Dipper. The clan leaders of the various powerful races couldn't sit still. Once the Big Dipper opened, it was very suitable for enlightenment. This was a great opportunity that they had to seize. Boom! Killing sounds exploded and spread throughout the outer region of the Big Dipper. The Big Dipper has opened. The younger generation of cultivators despaired. They could already feel dozens of apocalyptic great Tao auras crowding the outer region of the Big Dipper. Mighty lords of the universe had charged in. The Big Dipper had just awakened, and an unparalleled killing intent had already swept over. The auras of mighty lords of the universe came one after another, crowding the entire outer region. How terrifying! Everyone trembled as they saw a dazzling golden rock. This was evolved from a great ability. The golden-winged rock's body covered tens of thousands of miles. It was too terrifying. The eagles soared into the sky, and stars exploded one after another in the outer region. A world-shaking, ferocious aura came majestically. As it swooped down, a huge black hole was squeezed out in the vast expanse of 10,000 miles. It was like a flash of lightning and fire. It was too fast. Its huge wings were about to cut open the outer region of the Big Dipper. It was brewing a shocking, godly power that could split open an ocean. Not good. Su Yin and the other two were shocked. A mighty lord of the universe had set his eyes on them and launched an unparalleled attack. He evolved the golden-winged rock's great ability and attacked the region where they were. Once the golden-winged rock attacked them, none of them would be able to survive. They would all collapse and be blasted into ashes. Is it trying to kill the young Overlord Su Yin? It's definitely Kong Zhengshan. Kong Yuan has died, and the heavenly mystic sect won't let this go. The mountains and valleys rose and fell with a rumble. Mountains flew up like pebbles, and the territory was shattered by the impact. The golden-winged rock was too fast, and it had already appeared in the region where Su Yin and the others were. Su Yin made a prompt decision and took out the seven-star furnace. He wanted to revive the treasure bamboo Moon gave him and resolve the calamity. However, what exceeded Su Yin's expectations was that in the sky above the Big Dipper, the universe stars were shining brightly. They were even rotating and seemed to be pushed by a mighty force. They seemed to be rearranging. Big Dipper shift. This was a great ability of the Big Dipper lineage, and it was comparable to shrinking Earth into an inch. Kong Zhengshan, how dare you target the Big Dipper prodigy? An angry roar came from afar. As soon as the voice fell, Big Dipper shift was activated. Star Element had already crossed space and arrived here. He was indeed old. However, his majestic appearance was shocking. He was like a golden divine lion. Vigorous blood essence soared from his bronze body, and it was as if a starry sky furnace was burning here. Star Element stretched out his hand, covering the sky and the sun, and split apart all the avatars. This was the star-plucking hand. Because it contained the power of Tao, it was enough to capture the stars in the outer realm. Now, it attacked and grabbed the golden-winged rock in his hand, directly crushing it. Just think about it, and one would know how ferocious it was. Star Element was the Big Dipper lineage's Grand Elder, the top overlord of the universe. He must die. He must be buried with Kong Yuan. Kong Zhengshan was the vice sect master of the heavenly mystery sect after all. He let out a ferocious roar, and an endless stream of killing techniques surged toward this place. There were true dragons, immortal phoenixes, Swan and I, Pishio. Avatars appeared, and the stars were destroyed, and the moon fell. This was not a divine ability, but a killing technique evolved in the form of Tao. Every giant beast was filled with the killing light of the great Tao, causing heaven and earth to be torn apart. They were about to destroy a large region. Kill! Star Element let out a long roar. His majestic appearance was shocking and domineering. He held a silver spear and waved it, causing heaven and earth to tremble and the sun and moon to dim. This was a peerless expedition. The Big Dipper was completely in chaos. On the vast land, smoke rose and fell. One after another, godlike overlords stood between heaven and earth, causing the sky to tremble and the sun and moon to dim. They looked down on heaven and earth. There's no justice in this world. The Dharma characteristic realm and the Great Tao realm are like ants and true dragons. Some people trembled, and the geniuses did not make a sound. Overlords were indeed overlords. Even if they were half a step away, it was still a chasm. We've already reached the core region. Hurry up, we're at the Big Dipper Palace. Su Yin flew forward rapidly. He once again sensed the power of the Big Dipper Palace. It was already very close to them. Right now, the Big Dipper was completely in chaos. Various parties were killing each other, and there were even experts who had rushed into the core region, wanting to dig for opportunities. In short, it was too chaotic. The Big Dipper was in chaos, and the experts of the older generation had rushed into the Big Dipper in large batches. Let's go. Yuan and the other two were very fast. They traveled through the void, heading for the Big Dipper. Something's not right. Su Yan's expression changed abruptly as he looked up into the sky. The sky, which was originally clear and boundless, gradually darkened. Soon, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Dark clouds rolled, and destructive ripples spread out. This was the power of Tao. It sealed the sky and the earth and carved out Tao space. A small world was opened up just like that, isolated from the rest of the world. Shadows with cold auras walked out from the void one after another. The head of the Shui family was staring at Su Yin with a malevolent gaze. He said coldly, "Little B Astra starred, you didn't expect this, right? Why don't you run? Don't talk nonsense. Just kill him directly. If we delay, there might be changes." Chapter 334. 4 Quasi-Dao Realm Experts. Yuan's eyes widened in anger. The crisis had come too suddenly, and they were not prepared at all. They could not even figure out how they had rushed here at the first moment. What was the Quasi-Dao realm? Experts as strong as Star Element, and the others were all masters of the universe, and their realms were at the Great Tao realm. Only those who had comprehended the Great Tao were Great Tao realm experts. Existences at this realm were known as masters of the universe. Those who cultivated in this realm were already extremely terrifying, and they were qualified to establish their own sections. In the entire Big Dipper Star Zone, there were only a limited number of Great Tao realm experts. According to the current strength of the sects, the number of Great Tao realm experts would affect the strength of the sections. Those at the Quasi-Dao realm had only touched upon the Great Tao. Those who had comprehended the Great Tao to an extremely deep level would be able to unleash some of the power of the Great Tao. Of course, they were not considered masters of the universe. However, Quasi-Dao realm cultivators were not considered experts, and their means were not something that Transcendence realm experts could compare to. The head of the Shui family and the other 3 were all Quasi-Dao realm experts. Their sinister eyes stared at Su Yin, Yuan, and Tai Baokai. "All of you must die." The head of the Shui family couldn't stop the killing intent in his eyes. Shuilong had been killed by Su Yin, and a large number of Shui family members had died. The younger generation had been crippled. Every time he thought about this loss, the head of the Shui family felt his heart bleeding. Also, because of Su Yin, Shuiguan's reputation had been greatly damaged. He had even been defeated by the joint attack of Su Yin and the Ji state physique. This was such a humiliation. The reputation that Shuiguan had accumulated over 100 years had been destroyed, although it was due to the joint attack of Su Yin and the Ji state physique. This matter had caused too much damage to Shuiguan's reputation. Even now, Shuiguan had also stepped into the Quasi-Dao realm. This was also a humiliation to Shuiguan. Bang! The entire small world was trembling. The four old experts had awakened, and the terrifying great Tao light rippled out from their bodies, filling the entire world. Tai Baotsai's face was as black as the bottom of a black pot. They had really failed miserably. They had already seen a divine talisman turn into ashes. There was no doubt that this divine talisman had a great origin. It was a divine talisman that could track enemies. It could even break through space. No wonder they could chase. You don't need to explain. I was the one who spread the news that my son, Guanjuan, had obtained the inheritance of an almighty. Su Yin sneered. Upon hearing this, the Shui family's head's eyes were filled with cold, murderous intent. He said ferociously, "You're about to die, and you still dare to provoke me? You really don't know how to write the word death. Don't talk nonsense. Just kill them." Just as the four old experts rushed over, Su Yan's eyes widened in anger. He waved his sleeves, and a divine power that could shatter the heavens reverberated between heaven and earth. Su Yan took out a divine cauldron. It was bright and blazing like a heavenly cauldron that could burn the world. It made the entire small world tremble. "Kill!" Su Yan shouted angrily and activated the Seven Stars Cauldron. This was the treasure that Bamboo Moon had given to him. Once the cauldron was opened, thousands of rays of starlight shot out. Boom! Boom! The entire small world distorted and was about to disintegrate. Even the divine power of the Seven Stars Cauldron was about to shatter the four old experts of the Shui family. They were envious. This was an extremely precious treasure. Its value was immeasurable. It was difficult to buy it, even if one had the money. "Fairy Beidou is my son, Guanjuan's woman. Since you have a good relationship with her, haha, all the more reason to kill you, you evil creature," the Shui family's head said coldly. His words made the Tai Baotsai's expression change. Could it be that they could restrain treasures? Since the Shui family's head and the others had come, they must have taken precautions. The Seven Stars Cauldron was already opened. However, when the divine power contained within the Seven Stars Cauldron erupted, an ancient chaotic light fell from this sealed world. It was filled with a divine aura that made everyone tremble. "Haha, let me suppress it. My Shui family still lacks a treasure. As for the 9 extreme formation, Su Yin, don't take it out. Haha, this is a great killing formation. Without a corresponding foundation, you won't be able to display its might." An old expert soared into the sky. He was the Shui family's formation grandmaster. With a swing of his sleeves, the small world that had been sealed awakened limitlessly. Moreover, it coiled around the bones of primal chaos and floated up and down in all directions. Every bone was surrounded by chaotic light. It was like a type of chaotic treasure bone that was full of divine aura. These were the bones of a deity. They contained an extremely powerful life force. Now that Shui Jian had grasped them, he had opened up an independent small world. Moreover, the power of the dozen or so deities' treasured bones had forcibly suppressed the Seven Stars Cauldron. However, Shui Jian had underestimated the might of the Seven Stars Cauldron. A peerlessly beautiful woman flashed out from the cauldron. She awakened within the cauldron, and her blazing flames overflowed into the heavens. For a moment, she was about to pierce through the chaotic treasure bone formation. What good Fairy Beidou? I underestimated her. Shui Jian hurriedly said, "Immediately take action and shake them to death. I can at most last for an incense stick's worth of time. Hurry up." "Hee, an incense stick's worth of time? You're overestimating them. I think they won't even need the time to brew a cup of tea. There's also this evil creature. I'll let you escape last time, but you've really surprised me. You're actually able to cultivate to this level." A dark yellow-skinned old expert from the Shui family laughed sinisterly. He was the second elder of the Shui family. His battle strength was world-shocking. He had almost comprehended the great Tao and was about to step into the ranks of the universe's overlords. To be able to personally kill a genius with shocking potential, this made the Shui family's second elder laugh complacently. To be able to strangle you in the cradle is truly the fortune of 3 lifetimes. The Shui family's second elder clapped his hands. Although his appearance was old, the essence blood within his body was still vigorous. In particular, the palm that he waved over contained the light of the great Tao and emitted a terrifying aura. Old thing, Yuan was furious. He decisively met the attack with a solar fist and fiercely smashed it forward. Yuan's battle strength was extremely strong. However, when he and the Shui family's second elder collided, his entire body's overflowing essence blood was crushed and exploded. The aura of the great Tao assaulted him, causing Yuan's entire body to tremble. In the end, he spat out a mouthful of blood. He was aghast. A quasi-Tao realm was indeed a quasi-Tao realm. Although he had only touched upon the great Tao, the saying that everyone under the great Tao was like an ant was not empty words. Not bad. You're actually able to withstand one of my attacks and not die. Ha ha ha. The Shui family's second elder laughed complacently. I really want to see how many of my attacks you can withstand. The Shui family's head appeared in front of Tai Baokai like a ghost. He laughed sinisterly. You evil creature. Actually, the first person I want to get rid of is you. Old beast. Why are you calling me Grandpa? Tai Baokai raised his big round head and said, You're about to die. How dare you be so impudent in front of me? The Shui family's head was furious. He was still considered young. His qi and blood were at their peak, and his dermic powers were shocking. A blurry light of the great Tao surged out of his fist and swept towards Tai Baokai. Su Yin, are you going to kill yourself, or do you want me to turn you into ashes? Another skinny old man appeared in front of Su Yin. He laughed coldly and said, Let me introduce myself first. I am Dong. Before he could finish his sentence, Su Yin swooped down. The astral battle armor on his body surged to the extreme. As the great Tao of the Big Dipper dissipated, the astral battle armor's power increased greatly. A terrifying power of the great Tao was awakening. Kill! Su Yin roared and waved his blood-color halberd. This halberd was like a suppressed fierce dragon that was released. It spewed out rays of light, shattering the vast void. With 2 divine Tao weapons on him, Su Yin's aura was more than just a level stronger. However, when the terrifying brilliance that filled the sky slashed toward Shui Lang shook his head in disdain. The aura of the great Tao spread through his limbs and bones. It was as if he had become one with the great Tao. His aura was completely different. Every move he made was filled with the heavenly power of the great Tao. Su Yin, the champion of my family, has already cultivated to the quasi-Tao realm. As for me and Shuiguan's combat strength, we're world apart. Today, I'll wake you up to how strong the quasi-Tao realm is. Shuiguan can kill you with one hand. You'll be satisfied for the rest of your life. Shui Jian rushed forward and took out a long, bright saber. With a fierce swing, thick saber lights of the great path slashed out furiously, bombarding the blood-colored halberd that Su Yin was waving over. Moreover, his palm reached out and grabbed Su Yin. It also contained the power of the great Tao. The moment he came into contact with this aura, Su Yin could feel the power of the great Tao. This was only the quasi-Tao realm. If it was the great Tao realm, then it would definitely be more than 10 times stronger than him. Boom! Su Yin's fist collided with his palm. His body trembled violently, as if he had hammered a heavenly drum. He suffered internal injuries and spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was pale as he staggered back. Shui Jian's eyes were cold. His palm was numb, and his bones were almost broken. What a strong physical body. The killing intent in Shui Jian's eyes intensified. He pounced forward like an old Yuan and laughed angrily. What a pity. A genius of a generation has fallen in my hands just like that. Ha 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 ha. Quasi-Tao cultivators were very strong. Even Dharma characteristic cultivators were heaven-defying. It was also very difficult for them to fight with experts who had touched the great Tao. Yuan was also heavily injured. If it weren't for his strong physical body, he would have died by now. The Tai Baotsai's body was torn apart. It roared while bathed in blood and took out the golden bamboo to block the Shui family's head. Hee, I keep feeling that something is wrong. Let's kill this evil beast first. At this moment, the Shui family's head waved a palm that was surrounded by the light of the great Tao and slapped towards Su Yin. Shui Jian also circulated his strongest power. He was afraid that something unexpected would happen. He had to kill Su Yin immediately. Be careful, Yi Yuan roared angrily, but he couldn't kill his way out. Quasi-Dao cultivators were too powerful. The difference was like a chasm. Once he was hit, he would either die or be injured. Now that two Quasi-Dao cultivators were targeting Su Yin felt like he was covered by a deep abyss and was about to shatter into ashes. He fell to the ground from the impact. Shui Jian and the others' palms struck again, not giving Su Yin any time. They wanted to destroy all the vitality in his body. Su Yin, rest in peace. The two's palms grabbed at Su Yin fiercely, wanting to smash him into meat paste. Just as their palms were getting closer and closer to Su Yin, the weak aura in Su Yin's body circulated to the extreme in an instant. The tyrant body art activated, and he soared into the sky like a blood-soaked god-fiend. Futile struggle. The two of them were disdainful. Their palms had already touched Su Yin. However, at the moment of contact, both of their palms trembled slightly. This was a wisp of aura that suddenly seeped out of his body, like a slumbering, immortal weapon that had quietly awakened. What's this? The Shui family's head and the others' hearts trembled. They retracted their palms at lightning speed. It's my turn. Su Yin roared at the sky, as if he had transformed into a furious god that ruled the earth. His palms seemed to have pulled out a supreme, murderous weapon from the void, surrounded by a spiritual will that made the 9 heavens and 10 earths tremble. Clang! Immortal radiance scattered down from the sky, dazzling and dazzling. Su Yin seemed to have pulled out an immortal iron rod from his body. He held it and smashed it down. The entire small world trembled and was about to be smashed into two. What kind of treasure is this? The Shui family's head and Shui Jin's expressions changed drastically. Under the spiritual will of the immortal iron rod, the two of them felt like their bodies and souls were being destroyed. They couldn't help but tremble as if their souls were being robbed. Crack! Chapter 335. The Shui family head's body trembled. Under the suppression of the immortal iron rod's will, even his soul was trembling. He wanted to submit. The immortal weapon fragment carried a kind of will suppression. It was truly terrifying, not to mention the power of the immortal weapon fragment. Although it was just a fragment, it was still domineering. How is this possible? The expression of the Shui family's second elder changed. Wasn't this the treasure that slaughtered their Shui family's experts? How did it fall into Su Yin's hands? Su Yin used the secret technique that the mysterious man passed to him, and used the opening move to revive the immortal iron rod. At this moment, Su Yin felt like he was reviving a true dragon. The weapon in his hand didn't look like an immortal weapon fragment, but like a living being. It was a great Tao immortal weapon that had once destroyed the 9 heavens and 10 earths and suppressed the universe. This rod was too domineering. It smashed the void and caused the entire small world to tremble. This was because the immortal weapon fragment contained a supreme strength. It wasn't something that a quasi-Dao realm cultivator could withstand. The Shui family head was in great pain. One of his arms that was grabbing Su Yin was shattered. He let out a miserable cry. Iron head technique. The Tai Baokai waited for an opportunity. He endured the pain of his body and pounced forward. The Shui family head was heavily injured and spat out a large mouthful of blood. He fell heavily to the ground. As for Shui Jian, he was even more miserable. Half of his body had caved in, and the bones in his body were cracking and cracking. He was like a wounded wild beast that was letting out a miserable howl. This strike had almost destroyed his body and soul. Su Yan's arm was trembling. When he was using the immortal weapon fragment, he had exhausted all the divine power in his body. He quickly took out a jar and opened it to take out the thunder liquid. He drank it all in one gulp. This was the remaining thunder liquid from the reincarnation pool. This thing was a great tonic. Drop after drop of thunder liquid dissolved in his body, allowing Su Yan's weak body to quickly recover divine power. He quickly stood at his peak state. Kill! Su Yan roared and charged at the struggling Xuejian. He definitely couldn't give this quasi-Dao realm old cultivator any time to catch his breath. Otherwise, they would be the ones to die. You beast! Xuejian let out a miserable cry. He was too miserable. He also understood his situation. He couldn't survive. Su Yan. Calm. Calm. Boom. Su Yan's fist caused Xuejian's body to tremble. Xuejian's other arm exploded. He let out a cry of despair. Su Yan's body was too terrifying. The heavily injured Xuejian was beaten to the point where his life force was severed. He was sent flying like a dead dog. Xuejian. The Xue family head's eyes were about to split open. It was very likely that Xuejian had been beaten to death by Su Yan's fist. This was a quasi-Dao realm expert, yet he was actually nursing a grievance at the hands of Su Yan. But the moment he saw Su Yan's target, the Xue family head's expression changed. Su Yan was rushing towards the top of the small world. To be more precise, he was rushing towards the Xue family's old expert, who was maintaining the primal Chaos Treasure Bone formation. Quick, stop him. You must stop him. The Xue family head was a bit scared. If news of them attacking Su Yan were spread out, it would not benefit the Xue family at all. Just the person behind Su Yan, the mysterious expert who gave him the immortal weapon fragment, was not someone that Xue Guan could provoke. The Xue family head also gave up on the Tai Bao Kai and rushed up to block Su Yan's path. Roar! The Tai Bao Kai was very ferocious. It opened its mouth and ruthlessly bit down on the Xue family head's leg. The panda's eyes were full of ferocity. Bastard, get out of my way! The Xue family head was furious. He swung his palm and ruthlessly slapped the Tai Bao Cai's head. The Tai Bao Kai used its iron head technique to block, but its head was also cracked by the Xue family head. Blood splattered everywhere. The Tai Bao Kai was very brave. It roared and bit the Xue family head's leg without letting go, buying time for Su Yan. You want to break the array? Wishful thinking. The array master's eyes flashed with a trace of coldness. When he saw Su Yan rushing towards him, his eyes shone with divine light. His tongue was like thunder, and he spat out huge sound waves that contained the power of the great Tao. Heaven and earth were covered in a vast expanse of white. The brilliance was dazzling, and the aura of the great Tao lingered around it. Every sound wave had the divine power to overturn a mountain. It was as if thousands of lightning bolts struck, making Su Yan feel as if he was struck by lightning. He was about to be shaken down. Su Yan looked up to the sky and let out a long hiss. The profound meaning of the tyrant body technique in his treasure body was activated, and his combat strength soared. His body was filled with divine, iron-like strength. He forcefully withstood the storm of divine energy that filled the sky and activated the immortal weapon fragment. His body was surrounded by resplendent, primordial energy. Kill! Su Yan roared. He was fighting with his life on the line. The divine energy in his body was sucked dry again, and the immortal weapon fragment also erupted. It was like a giant pillar that supported the sky was operating here. It was enough to stir up the clouds and destroy thousands of Tao. What kind of treasure is this? The array master who was maintaining the killing array was terrified. The defensive method he had constructed was like paper being bombarded by the immortal weapon fragment. Su Yan held the immortal iron staff with both hands and smashed down from the sky. Terrifying fluctuations spread out like thousands of lightning bolts striking down. Pooh! This person let out a miserable cry, and his body began to distort and collapse. This staff was too shocking. It locked down his body and carried out a destructive attack. The top of his head collapsed, and his brain matter burst out. Bloody mist burst out from his pores, and the bones in his body were completely annihilated. It was too miserable. He had become a pile of minced meat. Su Yan, the Xue family head's eyes turned purple. 2 quasi-Dao realm cultivators had been killed by him. This kind of loss was not something the Xue family could bear. He let out a miserable cry. He wanted to rush up because he could see that Su Yin was exhausted. Bastard, get lost. Bastard, get lost. The Shui family head was incomparably angry. He viciously waved his hand and slapped Tai Baocai's body. Baocai was already a bloody mess, but he was still ferocious. Baocai. Su Yan's muscles were exhausted as he panted heavily. He saw the Shui family head's madness and saw Tai Baocai's bloody body. His eyes widened, and he once again swallowed the thunder liquid to recover his body's losses. Old thing, give me your life. Su Yan's eyes widened in anger. He rushed up, holding the immortal weapon fragment. This fragment was very extraordinary. It was surrounded by terrifying light and automatically turned into a great Dao immortal weapon. Boom! It was also at this moment that he lost control of the Primal Chaos Treasure Bone. The Primal Chaos Treasure Bone began to shatter one after another, blasted into ashes by the aura released by the Seven-Star Furnace. A terrifying explosion tore the sky apart. The Seven-Star Furnace awakened. As it breathed in and out, heaven and earth trembled, and the sun and moon wailed. The mountains exploded, and the area within tens of thousands of miles shook. When the living beings who were hibernating in all directions looked up, they were all stunned. They saw a heavenly furnace awakening, wanting to burn the sky. What happened? It seems to be the Seven-Star Furnace. It's Su Yin who controls the Seven-Star Furnace. Could it be that a great Dao realm expert has secretly come to kill him? It came too suddenly. When some people saw it with their divine senses, their expressions changed. Wasn't that Shueguan's father? Why was he here? He was even fighting against Su Yin. Quickly look. It seems like the Shui family's head is here to kill Su Yin. Everyone was shocked. He was Shueguan's father, yet he actually chose to shamelessly kill Su Yin. This made them somewhat speechless. Heavens, this creature won't be beaten to death, right? Someone's hair stood on end. They saw the Shui family's head fiercely raise his foot and stomp on the Tai Baocai's spine, causing the Tai Baocai's consciousness to become blurry. Its mouth opened, and it was paralyzed on the ground. Its vital signs were disappearing. A furious roar exploded here. The people watching from afar saw Su Yin go crazy. His hair danced wildly, and his entire body released a monstrous, ferocious light. The immortal iron staff in his hand was surrounded by an incomparable great Dao immortal light. Kill! The Shui family's head was even more furious. Now that the matter had been exposed, he had to kill Su Yin. A sword embryo abruptly flew out from his sleeve, releasing a dazzling sword ray. One after another, it soared into the air. The Shui family's head waved the sword embryo and slashed at Su Yin. Dong! When Su Yin was about to dive down to the Shui family's head, his palm grabbed the void. The burning Seven-Stars furnace that was suspended between heaven and earth appeared in his hand. This heavenly furnace was 10,000 times more powerful. When the furnace's mouth swallowed, the vast region trembled. My sex-forbidden treasure, the Seven-Stars furnace, is Su Yin. Could it be that he has encountered an enemy? The forbidden treasure had awakened, and the commotion it created was too great. This matter alarmed the universe masters who were conquering the outer regions. Some important figures looked over and saw the scene in the core region. They saw Su Yin striking out with the Seven-Stars furnace. It's Shueguan's father. He went to chase after Su Yin. Someone was astonished. This matter was a little too big. Everyone could see that the group of elders of the Big Dipper lineage were furious. Someone roared, "If Su Yin is harmed, the Shui family will be buried with him." Bitter killing intent filled the air. The elders of the Big Dipper lineage were furious. They had never thought that the Shui family would lead people to chase after Su Yin and even send out a quasi-Dao realm cultivator. But the outcome stunned them. First of all, the Seven-Stars furnace was too terrifying. It was thrown by Su Yin and smashed into the Shui family's head, shattering the sword rays that filled the sky. The heavenly furnace shone and was filled with forbidden power. It smashed into the Shui family's head, causing the sword embryo to explode into pieces. Puffed, puffed. The Shui family's head spat out large mouthfuls of blood. He was hit by the aura of the heavenly furnace, and his body was badly mutilated. Old bastard, go and die. Su-Yin rushed over and swung the immortal iron rod. It was filled with a spiritual will that could make the universe tremble. This rod smashed the world into pieces. No, I'm Shueguan's father. The Shui family's head trembled in fear. The immortal iron rod descended from the sky and rapidly bombarded him. He could feel the destructive aura. Once he was hit by the immortal iron rod, only death would await him. Where is my champion? The Shui family's head waved his trembling hand and wailed, Where's my son's champion? Boom. Chapter 336. Su-Yin held the immortal iron staff and stood in a pool of blood. His body was dyed in blood, but he exuded a terrifying, vicious aura that rushed out in all directions. The Shui family head's mournful voice reverberated through heaven and earth. This scene made one's hair stand on end. The Shui family head was smashed into a bloody mist, and not even his corpse was left behind. It didn't matter if he died, but the Shui family head's son was Shueguan, the Shueguan who had already stepped into the Quasi-Dao realm. This scene made their hair stand on end. This was an outcome that would not end until one of them was dead. How could Shueguan leave the matter at that? This scene made the spectators outside stunned. Su-Yin actually killed the Shui family head. This was the head of the Shui family. Killing him was the same as forming an irreconcilable blood feud with the ancient Shui family. Su-Yin, in the wild mountain forest, boundless killing intent rushed out from Shueguan's body. Dragons and phoenixes soared into the sky, surrounded by a terrifying aura of the great Tao. It pierced through the heavens and even faintly shook the stars hanging in outer space. The experts of the older generation were all horrified. The current Shueguan was too shocking. He was already standing at the Quasi-Dao realm. So is he still far from the great Dao realm? He only has himself to blame. Someone shook his head. What kind of person was the head of the Shui family? He controlled the head of an ancient family, and he actually made a move against Su-Yin. The Shui family even sent out 4 Quasi-Dao realm cultivators. One could imagine how determined the Shui family was to kill Su-Yin. Pooh, the second elder of the Shui family, didn't have a good ending. Su-Yin brought out the 7-star furnace, and the power of the great Tao gushed out from the furnace, making the second elder feel as if he had been struck by lightning. He was suppressed and couldn't move. Old thing, I'll send you on your way. Yuan's entire body burned with anger. He rushed up and unleashed a solar fist, smashing the suppressed second elder of the Shui family into pieces in the air, blasting him into a bloody mist. Oh my God, the Shui family has suffered such heavy losses. Many people cried out in alarm. 4 great Dao realm experts fell here one after another, blood splashing across the sky. Shui family had lost 4 pillars. After all, the gap between the Transcendence realm and the Quasi-Dao realm was like a chasm. Shui family would not be able to bear the pain of losing even one. Even more people were staring at the immortal iron staff in Su-Yan's hands. What kind of artifact was this? There were people who had seen this object before. It had appeared in Brilliant City before, and it was in the hands of a mysterious expert. Some people speculated that there was a terrifying power behind Su-Yin. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to control the immortal weapon fragment. Su-Yin was already exhausted. Continuously reviving the immortal iron staff had caused him great losses. He took out the thunder liquid and swallowed it. This thing was worthy of being called the thunder liquid of good fortune. It contained life force, and it quickly replenished Su-Yan's weakened body. Su-Yin quickly arrived in front of Tai Bao Kai. Tai Bao Cai's injuries were too severe. His fat body had sunk in and was badly mangled. His appearance was almost unrecognizable. Yuan's eyes were red. The heart of an expert had taken root in his heart and was rapidly sprouting. Shui family. Yuan let out a ferocious roar and clenched his fists tightly. His ice-cold eyes swept across his surroundings. To Yuan, he had no relatives in this universe. Only Su-Yin, Tai Bao Kai, and the other 2 had crossed over from the aboriginal planet Earth to the Alcade planet. But this time, the 3 of them had almost died. This caused Yi Yuan's eyes to emit a terrifying aura. How could he not take revenge? Bao Kai, hang in there. Su Yan clenched his fists. His primordial spirit power quickly spread out to check on Bao Cai's injuries. Tai Bao Cai's life force was extremely weak, but there was still a wisp of life force burning. Su Yan let out a sigh of relief and hurriedly took out the thunder liquid. Thunder liquid sprinkled down and poured over Tai Bao Cai's injured body. Its damaged body glowed as it was enveloped by the thunder liquid and started to recover its life force. Seeing this, Su Yan was relieved. He put Tai Bao Kai into the Phoenix Hairpin space. We have to leave this place quickly. Yi Yuan calmed himself down. He was really worried that there would be universe masters coming to kill them. The two of them rushed towards the depths of the core region. Su Yan constantly sensed the position of the Big Dipper. He felt that they would soon reach their destination. When did you become a disciple of the Big Dipper lineage? Why don't you seek protection from the Big Dipper lineage? Yi Yuan calmed down and asked. Wasn't Su Yan a genius of the Big Dipper lineage? Hearing this, Su Yan smiled bitterly. Bamboo Moon should be in seclusion right now. Speaking of which, he wasn't even a disciple of the Big Dipper lineage. After all, he had killed Lei Yuguang and Zhu Xing. The two superpowers wouldn't let this matter rest. If he sought protection from the Big Dipper lineage, he was worried that the situation would spiral out of control. What I was worried about still happened. Su Yan's expression changed drastically. The blood-colored halberd in his hand trembled slightly. The halberd glowed on its own and faintly wanted to break free from Su Yan's hand. There's a brand left behind by a great being. Yi Yuan's expression changed. Su Yan also saw that there was a brand hidden in the blood-colored halberd. This made Su Yan's scalp tingle. He didn't expect there to be a brand inside the halberd. The people from the Ancestral Hall are here. Su Yan moved even faster. At the same time, his aura erupted and penetrated the blood-colored halberd, shattering the brand inside the divine weapon. Just as he finished all this, a blood-colored sword embryo appeared in the silver passage area. This sword core was as thick as a mountain range. The body of the sword was blood-red in color, and the tip of the sword released a peerless sharpness. When it was about to awaken from its slumber, the sky shattered like a mirror. Chi! The blood-colored light illuminated the core region of the Big Dipper. This sword embryo was wrapped in chaotic aura and released a terrifying aura like that of the Divine King. When it was unsheathed, it seemed like it could slash apart the stars in the outer region. Oh my God, could it be a divine being? All the cultivators in the core region were trembling. The Quasi-Dao realm cultivators felt like their bodies were about to crack. This blood-colored sword embryo was too sharp. Every inch of the void was trembling. When it was unsheathed, a blood-colored sword light was released like a vast ocean. Divine weapon. Star Element was furious. This was an extremely terrifying divine weapon. It was filled with fluctuations that could slice apart the starry skies. This thing was even more terrifying than a divine weapon. It was the sword of a divine being. Once it was unsheathed, millions of corpses would fall. The cultivators closer to the silver passage were all annihilated. This was a scene of rivers of blood. The expert who attacked could be said to be absolutely unrestrained. Su Yan and Yi Yuan felt a chill run down their bodies. This was too fierce, treating all creatures as ants. Could it really be a divine being? How long? The core region trembled. Everyone could clearly see that the blood-colored sword embryo was unsheathed. This divine weapon tore apart the great void, tearing open a terrifying crack. It was also at this time that a shadow walked out. He held the blood-colored sword embryo and entered the crack. When he appeared again, Su Yan was already extremely close. Zhu Xing was actually killed by you. This was actually a relatively young expert. He wore a blood-colored robe and held a divine being's sword. He looked down on Su Yan from high above. His words spread through the great region, making millions of creatures tremble in fear. Without a doubt, this was definitely an expert from the Ancestral Hall. He was investigating the cause of Zhu Xing's death. Su Yan is finished. He provoked the Ancestral Hall. No one can save him. Some people were terrified. Perhaps not even the Big Dipper bloodline dared to provoke the ancestral hall. This was a truly unrivaled giant of the universe. It had always been an overlord in the long river of time. Heaven and earth trembled. Mountains collapsed. This blood-robed youth's might was too great. He held a divine being's sword and pointed it at Su Yin from the distance. Su Yin's entire body was drenched in cold sweat. They felt like they were about to be crushed to pieces. He didn't even need to brandish the divine sword. This blood-robed youth could crush them to death with a single finger. You are a grand expert, yet you are targeting a junior like me, Su Yin said angrily. Huh. The blood-robed youth disdained to talk to Su Yin, but he still explained, I'm not here to kill you. If Zhu Xing dies, then so be it. The ancestral hall doesn't care. His cold voice contained a domineering tone that made one's hair stand on end. However, his words were not false. What kind of terrifying giant was the ancestral hall? It was an existence that caused all great powers to tremble in fear upon hearing its name. Generation after generation, a truly unrivaled supreme being had walked out from this clan, sweeping through all the great starry skies. You, on the other hand, actually disturbed the Vice Hall Master. Although Zhu Xing is one of the Vice Hall Master's sons, he wouldn't lower himself to target you. My ancestral hall's young supreme beings will naturally come and kill you. The blood-robed youth's eyes were cold and full of disdain. What kind of power was the ancestral hall? They occupied the most powerful ancient planet, and their young supreme beings had always been powerful. A mere Big Dipper had lost its most powerful ancient planet. What could a genius of the younger generation use to contend against the ancestral hall? He said curiously, but I didn't expect that the Vice Hall Master would order to bring you here. He was even a little surprised that if the Vice Hall Master wasn't tied up with something important, his true body might have come. This meant that Su Yin was involved in something that the Vice Hall Master was very interested in. Sensing that Star Element and the others were coming, the blood-robed youth waved his palm, pressing it against the dome of the sky, and slapped down, filling the air with monstrous fluctuations of the great Tao. Buzz! Su Yin roared angrily and suddenly threw out the Seven Stars Furnace. The Seven Stars Furnace was fully released, emitting light that contained unparalleled power of the great Tao. It was as if a magnificent sea of stars was manifesting, chanting the immortal scripture, shaking the entire great region. A peerlessly beautiful woman floated in the Seven Stars Furnace, releasing the power of the great Tao, shaking his palm until it bled. The blood-robed youth's eyes suddenly shrank, and then he said coldly, Even if you are the son of the Big Dipper lineage's ancestor, you can't escape from my ancestral hall. Let's go. Su Yin and Yi Yuan rushed forward crazily. He felt that the Seven Stars Furnace would not be able to stop the experts of the ancestral hall. Chi! The blood-robed youth had already waved the god's sword in his hand. Thousands of rays of blood-red light pierced through the vast land like lightning, making all living beings in the universe feel as if they had fallen into an ice cave. This sword was too terrifying, and it slashed over. Clang! The Seven Stars Furnace trembled. Although it was a soul treasure, the Seven Stars Furnace had not reached the level where it could clash head-on with a divine artifact. Kill! The blood-robed youth's eyes shone with killing intent. After the god's sword was temporarily blocked, it burned fiercely and cut the entire Seven Stars Furnace into two. Oh my god, the soul treasure was split open. This divine artifact is too shocking. The cultivators who saw this scene were in disbelief. If the god sword was so strong, then how strong was the god? The blood-robed youth stood high in the sky with a proud expression as he looked down at the territory. Even if this was the Big Dipper star and Su Yin was the Big Dipper star's genius, he still acted without restraint. From this, it could be seen how terrifying and powerful the ancestral hall was in the universe. Boom! The sky trembled, distorted by the attack of a large hand that exuded a world-destroying aura. The blood-robed youth stood there, too lazy to move. How could he deal with Su Yin? The blood-robed youth had absolute confidence that he could directly suppress him and take him away. How dare you? Star Element roared like an old lion. He wanted to rush over and help Su Yin. However, for Celestial Essence, this distance wasn't too far. However, he was blocked. A mighty sage had secretly intercepted Star Element, preventing him from entering the Silver Passage. This made Star Element furious. His hair fluttered wildly. Although he did not know whose disciple Su Yin was, in the Big Dipper Star region, even the Deputy Hall Master of the Ancestral Hall could not easily take Su Yin away. Even if it was an ordinary disciple, Star Element, who was the Big Dipper Star Element, would not let him succeed so easily. However, Star Element could not rush over in a short period of time. The ones secretly intercepting him might be the Shui family, Han Jin, or some other people. In short, someone did not want Su Yin to live. Star Element was furious. This accident had happened too suddenly. Even if he were to reveal his background, the great characters of the Big Dipper Star region would not be able to come to his aid in a short period of time. Now, Star Element could only watch as the blood-robed youth's palm filled the sky and covered thousands of miles of mountains and rivers as he cruelly suppressed Su Yin. Too terrifying. Everyone under the Great Tao is an ant. Some geniuses sighed. That was Su Yin, a young overlord, but now he could not resist at all. The entire mountain forest was sinking. Mountains collapsed one after another, and large black cracks appeared on the ground. They were already very far away from the Silver Passage, but the vast mountain forest was trembling. A hand stretched out from far away, and the airflow that came down was so strong that it was about to explode. Su Yin found it difficult to breathe. It was as if a true dragon had pounced over, making them feel like they were about to disintegrate. Can we blast them to death? Su Yin stretched out his arm, and his eyes flashed with killing intent. This was his final trump card. He did not know if the dragon totem would be able to kill the blood-robed youth. Su Yin also did not know if there would be any other enemies after killing the blood-robed youth. Teacher Yi Yuan, we are in trouble. After rushing for a while, Su Yin's expression changed. This was because he saw the lightning region. The Big Dipper Palace was actually sinking in the lightning region. This caused his expression to turn ugly. Once they rushed in, it was very likely that they would die here. If they did not enter, then what awaited them was also death. What is this place? Yi Yuan felt that this place was too dangerous. Su Yin fiercely pulled out the Tai Bao Kai and handed it to Yi Yuan. After doing all this, Yi Yuan's expression changed greatly. She said angrily, "What are you doing?" "I'm sorry, Teacher Yi Yuan. I don't know if I can survive. His target is me, not you. I might not die here. I will definitely come back alive." Su Yin's eyes turned red. He stomped his feet on the ground, shaking out a large area of void runes. He used spatial contraction to distort the void, allowing Yi Yuan and the Tai Bao Kai to leave this place. After doing all this, the blood-robed youth opened his palm. Su Yin could not withstand the terrifying aura. "If I die, I will die alone." Chapter 337. Under everyone's gazes, Su Yin charged into the dilapidated golden lightning region. Then he was engulfed by the black fog. It was as if he had barged into a cave of ferocious demons. His figure disappeared completely. This scene caused everyone to tremble. Su Yin had barged into a land of peril. That place was filled with demonic fog. Could he still come out alive? Senior brother Su Yin. Eldest senior brother. Xiao Wen and the others let out heart-wrenching roars. Their eyes were bloodshot. This scene was unbearable for them. They let out sorrowful cries. This was not the scene they wanted to see. How could this be? Tears flowed from Feng Xiaomu's eyes as he cried bitterly. "Senior brother, I'm still waiting for you to lead us to defeat the geniuses from the outer realms and roam the universe. How could you abandon us?" Zuyang and the others were heartbroken. They let out furious roars. That was the demonic fog area. Once they barged in, there was no way they could come out alive. Su Yin has fallen. The entire Big Dipper seemed to have quietened down. The moment Su Yin was engulfed by the demonic fog, it caused a huge earthquake. After all, this was a young overlord. Even Kan Yuan was beaten up by him until he couldn't raise his head. Even the geniuses from the outer realms found it hard to believe. Such a young Overlord had fallen just like that. This was practically a joke played by the heavens. No one had expected that an expert from the ancestral hall would charge over with a divine weapon and force Su Yin into a land of peril. Everything happened too quickly. Many people felt as if they were dreaming. Rumble. A huge explosion rang out. The blood-robed man's palm emitted a terrifying light. He wanted to tear apart the demonic fog and capture Su Yin from within. The dilapidated lightning region was now completely destroyed by the blood-robed man's large hand. However, his palm also seemed to have created a land of ferocious demons. The billowing fog was like a sea of clouds surging. The crowd was terrified. They could see with their naked eyes that the blood-robed man's large hand had been shrouded by the demonic fog. The life essence in his hand had been stripped away. His entire hand was withered, as if it was about to shatter. Some universe masters were trembling in fear. This was a top-notch great Tao realm great being. But now, after being devoured by the devilish mist, even the blood essence in his arm began to decline. How could this thing be so evil? The disciples of the Big Dipper faction were all in despair. Even a great Tao realm expert couldn't withstand it. So how could Su Yin endure it? Devil mist. Zhu Jingtian's expression was ugly, but he was very decisive. In an instant, he took out the godly spirit sword and placed it in the withered hand that had been devoured. The moment the godly spirit sword was awakened, a vast divine aura was awakened, and it dispersed the demonic fog that was like a maggot in one's bones. Kill! Zhu Jingtian let out a long roar. The divine sword shone and spat out sword beams one after another. He wanted to split apart the boundless devil mist and dig Su Yin out from within. However, this forbidden area was surging violently, great waves surging into the sky, as if a black eye of the sea was shining. A sinister aura swept through the entire Big Dipper. This was practically a black abyss that had awakened. Many stars flashed out from within. They were great black cosmic stars that were filled with death and malevolence. They wanted to collapse the entire sky and swallow this part of the universe. This is a forbidden area. A great being of the older generation cried out. But why is there so much devilish mist in the Big Dipper? It has even turned into a forbidden area. It was as if the entire small world had come alive, turning into a huge black beast that released a black ocean that covered the sky and covered the sun. The entire sky of the Big Dipper turned gloomy because the commotion caused by its awakening was relatively terrifying. B** starred. Who dares to stop me? Zhu Jingtian flew into a rage. As his eyes opened and closed, endless killing intent was released. It was as if a raging sea was roaring. Swoosh! The pitch-black night sky was moved by his roar. Zhu Jingtian erupted into his most prosperous state, and heavenly powers of the great Tao surged all over his body. The godly spirit sword seemed to have turned into a gigantic sword that reached the heavens, wanting to split apart the forbidden area. This sword was about to split apart the starry sky, and it was filled with the aura of a godly spirit. Zhu Jingtian held it and slashed wildly, wanting to open up the devilish mist forbidden area. One had to admit that Zhu Jingtian was powerful, and even the godly spirit sword he wielded was terrifying enough. Even the great Tao was about to be split apart. The blood-red sword rushed out like lightning, piercing through the sky and shattering the stars. This sword had the power to split apart the forbidden area. However, when he split open the border area, this black demonic abyss became countless times more terrifying in an instant. It burned with a monstrous light. Within the small world, there seemed to be an ancient black sea of stars. It was awakened and spewed out billions of universe stars. Then, like a tidal wave, it swept over and erupted with the aura of a collapsing universe. How is this possible? The universe masters were all trembling in fear. This forbidden area was too terrifying. How could it give birth to such a powerful wave that it could shake a universe master to death? Everything exploded. The flames were terrifying and intimidating. Zhu Jingtian's godly spirit sword was trembling in the face of such a magnificent aura. The godly spirit imprint nurtured within it vanished into thin air under this aura. Kacha! This scene made one's heart ache. The deity's sword broke apart, crushed into pieces by the aura of the small world's awakening. Pooh! Zhu Jingtian was terrified. His scalp went numb, and he couldn't escape even if he wanted to. The power of the black demonic abyss had the power to destroy the world. His godly spirit's sword was destroyed, and his protective armor was annihilated. He coughed up mouthfuls of blood from the airflow of the small world. His body was riddled with holes. Not good. Zhu Jingtian was terrified. He was about to be destroyed, but a brilliant light came out of his glabella. The mark of a great being was awakening and wrapping around his broken body, blocking the fatal attack for him. What is this place? A top-tier universe master almost died. The rumors are true. The area where the demonic abyss exists is a place of great danger. Anyone who enters will die. If Zhu Jingtian had barged in just now, he wouldn't have been able to escape. Everyone in the world was talking about it. Only Su Yan saw it clearly. He had already fallen into the demonic abyss. This power was too sinister and cold, and it was eroding Su Yan's body. Su Yan was rapidly deteriorating because his blood essence was being devoured by the demonic abyss. What was he doing? Sitting there waiting for death. He would slowly die in the demonic abyss until he was sucked dry. But what shocked Su Yan was that there seemed to be a mysterious world buried in the black abyss. It was awakening, and it was sacred and dignified. Exuberant starlight surged out like a sea of stars, and the awakened aura of the great Tao evolved into many stars. Because of the demonic abyss, this pure land looked sinister on the surface. It was called a forbidden zone for life. This is a sacred land, and the Big Dipper Palace is here. Could it be that the Big Dipper Palace is suppressing the demonic abyss? Su Yan had a shocking guess, but with every breath, he was losing a lot of vitality. If not for Su Yan's strong body, he wouldn't have been able to hold on for more than a few breaths before his blood essence was sucked dry by the demonic abyss. I have to rush in. This is my only chance. Su Yan clenched his teeth. He couldn't suppress the declining vitality in his body anymore. Su Yan quickly took out various treasures and refined them. He gritted his teeth and rushed forward. He wanted to go to the Big Dipper Palace, which was in the depths of the black abyss. How strong is this ferocious abyss? In the outside world, the universe masters didn't dare to be careless. They didn't even dare to get close. Zhu Jingtian had almost died with the godly spirit sword, let alone them. Look, the crowd was shocked. The pitch-black core of the Big Dipper suddenly cracked open. It was as if the entire sky had been torn apart by a blazing divine light. It's Star Element. What's he trying to do? Kong Ao's expression changed drastically when he saw Star Element take out a divine furnace. This furnace was hazy with all kinds of terrifying brilliance. The moment the furnace was unsealed, divine light gushed out from within, piercing through the darkness and illuminating the entire Big Dipper. It's the Divine King's weapon. Everyone was shocked. Star Element had taken out the Divine King's weapon. This furnace was terrifying to the extent of burning the world. When the furnace's opening was opened, the Divine King's aura gushed out and pierced through the darkness. A primordial vermilion bird drilled out from the furnace and spread its wings. Boom! Everything was too terrifying. The entire black abyss was twisting and distorting, about to be burned into ashes by the aura gushing out from the furnace. Open for me. Star Element let out an angry roar as he took out the Divine King's weapon. He wanted to open the black abyss and rescue Su Yan from within. What a terrifying weapon. I can see that even the demonic mist has been refined. The Divine King's weapon is indeed the Divine King's weapon. How many of them can you find in the entire universe? The Big Dipper lineage's foundation is still intact. I wouldn't be surprised if they could take out the Divine King's weapon. Many people turned pale as they saw the primordial vermilion bird enter the darkness one after another, burning the entire black abyss until it was distorted. The boundless black mist was evaporated. The Divine King's weapon was too terrifying. It could be said to be an invincible divine weapon. Only a few races and powers could wield such a weapon. Boom! When the Divine King's weapon reached the source, another terrifying explosion resounded. The huge black abyss trembled, emitting an extremely bitter and vicious aura. Within the black abyss, one could faintly see a giant black mountain shining. It exuded a desolate aura of ancient history, like a supreme immortal mountain that had crossed over from the wild lands. Moreover, the mountain was extremely grand. The light it emitted was reflected in the void, turning into a giant totem. This totem was like a starry sky totem. Its aura was grand, desolate, and terrifying. This totem was very special, as if it recorded something. The aura it emitted was too grand. The totem it projected was 9 giant celestial bodies. These powerhouses were stunned. Each celestial body was as grand and terrifying as the universe. They were like immortal stars, resplendent and shocking, surrounded by an immortal aura. It has appeared before. Star Element's complexion was strange. It had appeared over 100 years ago, but it had quickly vanished. Could it be that this was the goal of the buried region over 100 years ago? Was the ancestral hall here to hunt down the people of the buried region? Or was it here for the secrets hidden within the Forbidden Land? It's it. As Su Yin rushed into the depths of the demonic mist, he saw this scene. His mind was in turmoil. He took out the crystal pendant and saw a black mountain imprinted within it. Chapter 338. Bam! The entire Big Dipper was shaken by the loud explosion. Millions of people's eardrums were ringing, and they couldn't hear a thing. This was because the sound was so loud that it could tear apart one's mind. Star Element's divine furnace was sent flying, while the Divine King's weapon was also sent flying. This caused Star Element to shudder. He discovered a problem. Perhaps it wasn't because of the devil mist, but because this place itself was a forbidden zone. Could this be Fallen Star Ridge? Star Element's expression changed as he recalled an ancient text. Fallen Star Ridge was a forbidden zone during the Big Dipper clan's prosperous era. This forbidden zone had always been a legend. Very few people knew where Fallen Star Ridge was, and there weren't many records in the ancient texts. Celestial Essence faintly felt that the area where the Devil Fog was located was most likely the legendary Fallen Star Ridge. Star Element immediately thought of many things. If the people from the Burial Realm were here to open Fallen Star Ridge, then the situation wouldn't be as bad as he imagined. After all, there were experts from the Burial Realm who had come here before, and it had something to do with Su Yin. But Star Element couldn't help but look at Fallen Star Ridge covered by the Devil Mist. Could Su Yin come out alive? Could he endure the power of the Devil Mist? In any case, this place wasn't something Star Element could touch. Even the Divine King's weapon couldn't open it. One could imagine how terrifying this place was. Buzz! With this thought, the Divine King's weapon ignited once more. The sound of the great Tao gushed out with primal chaos, ancient energy. A vermilion bird spread its wings and soared within the divine furnace. What are you doing? Zhu Jingtian was enraged. This was the Divine King's weapon, capable of evaporating an ocean. The terrifying energy rushed towards Zhu Jingtian, causing him to cough out large mouthfuls of blood. He had been beaten to death by the Divine King's weapon. I'll kill you. Star Element was enraged like a mad lion. No matter what, if Zhu Jingtian hadn't appeared, Su Yin wouldn't have been forced into a corner. Kill! Star Element was furious. The power of the Divine King's weapon infuriated Zhu Jingtian. He activated the mark of an expert between his eyebrows, wanting to block the power of the Divine King's weapon. The entire Big Dipper was in complete chaos as all kinds of apocalyptic lights were overturned. The younger generation only had the qualifications to crawl and tremble. It was equivalent to a battle between true dragons, and they were no different from ants. It was impossible for them to participate. The Big Dipper was burning with the flames of war. Buried within the billowing demonic fog was a mysterious world. The fog was so thick that Su Yin couldn't see the road ahead. He discovered that the black mountain he had just manifested had already disappeared. The immortal mountain is inside. It should be together with the Big Dipper Palace. Su Yin was burning with anxiety as he continued to circulate the Big Dipper fist to sense the Big Dipper Palace. He felt that the Big Dipper Palace was already very close. As he ran, Su Yan's vitality was constantly leaking out. The demonic fog's energy was too treacherous. It devoured Su Yan's vitality, causing him to suffer heavy losses. No matter how many heavenly treasures he had, it would be difficult to keep up with the loss of his physical body. Hold on. Su Yan's breathing was heavy as he took out the thunder liquid. This was Su Yan's greatest trump card. It could rapidly restore the body's decline. As he circulated the initiation sutra, his pale face gradually regained its color. His body trembled with powerful essence blood. It was as if a dormant dragon had erupted. Su Yin even wanted to disperse the demonic fog. As long as he could restrain it, he would be able to come and go as he pleased. However, this thing was too sinister. No matter how vigorous Su Yan's essence blood was, it couldn't evaporate the demonic fog. He could only allow his vitality to be depleted. This gave him a headache. This thing was too sinister. Even a divine Dao weapon couldn't seal it. Before long, Su Yin swayed and almost fell to the ground. I want to go to the Big Dipper Palace. Su Yin clenched his teeth and persevered. This path was too difficult to walk. There was no end to the fog. It was too quiet here. One could hear a pin drop. Su Yin could even hear his own heartbeat. Could this be the Big Dipper lineage's Dao, right? After running for an unknown distance, Su Yin swallowed countless heavenly treasures. The earth flame liquid was almost completely consumed by him. At this time, he discovered some broken walls on the ground. These were the buildings of the past. It was unknown how many years they had collapsed. He walked with great difficulty. He endured the decline of his physical body and leaped over one ruin after another. The thunder liquid is almost used up. There isn't much great Dao treasure liquid left. I don't know how far I have to go. Su Yin drank the last jar of thunder liquid and used all his strength to sprint. The world of rolling black clouds stretched as far as the eye could see. Su Yin was like a moving golden lamp, rapidly approaching the depths of the black, demonic abyss. Su Yin felt that he was almost at his destination. He didn't need to use the Big Dipper fist to sense the aura of the Big Dipper Palace. It was an extremely ancient palace. He could feel the aura. Su Yin was on the verge of collapse. The vitality in his body leaked out very quickly. His entire body seemed to have aged. He took out the great Dao treasure liquid and absorbed it to replenish the loss of his physical body. Gradually, Su Yin discovered that the number of collapsed buildings increased. This place should have been very prosperous in the past. There were still some dilapidated halls and Dao palaces that hadn't collapsed. Su Yin felt as if he had entered an ancient ruin. He shook his head and tried to wake himself up. At this moment, Su Yan's eyes lit up. He discovered an ancient Dao palace. It was solemn and dignified. It wasn't enveloped by the black fog. Is this an immortal mountain? Su Yin was shocked and pleasantly surprised. He discovered a black mountain ridge. This Dao palace was located on the Black Mountain Ridge. But at this time, the Black Mountain Ridge seemed very calm. It was simple and unadorned. There was no sign of strength. Su Yin gritted his teeth and rushed forward. That was a safe zone. Even if he couldn't get anything, Su Yin could still survive because there was no devil fog in the Black Mountain Ridge. He ran with all his might, using all the strength in his body to run. Gradually, Su Yin's head became dizzy. He was too tired. His whole body was on the verge of collapse. The vitality in his body seemed to have been exhausted. I can't hold on any longer. Su Yin was delirious. His eyes flickered. Only a wisp of willpower kept him moving forward. But no matter how strong he was, he couldn't hold on. The essence blood in his body had dried up. He was almost skin and bones. His vitality was about to be stripped clean. I can't die here, Su Yin muttered. He fell to the ground and crawled with all his might. He was now less than 1,000 feet away from the Black Mountain Ridge. But this 1,000 feet distance made Su Yin despair. He said with some fear, "I can't die here. I have to go home. I promised Frost that I would go back alive. I have to live." Low growls came out of his mouth as he used all his strength to crawl. But he had no strength left. He couldn't even lift a finger. There was no strength left in his body. And Su Yin could clearly feel that the devil fog was surging towards him. It was sucking away his essence, blood, and life spring. It was even stripping away his lifespan. Wang, Su Yan's primordial spirit, transmitted a weak thought and opened the space of the phoenix hairpin. Although it was a space treasure that Bamboo Moon gave Su Yin, it couldn't seal away the devil fog. Many treasures inside had their divine power sucked away. A silvery cocoon flew out. Su Yin looked at the silvery cocoon weakly. Iron Rooster was inside. He had turned into a cocoon, as if he was going through a metamorphosis. When Su Yin found the silvery cocoon, there was a power that was resisting the devil fog. Su Yin felt a glimmer of hope in his heart. But no matter how he called out, Iron Rooster didn't respond. "I'm going to die. Even the dragon totem's power is being sucked away." Su Yin looked away. He turned over with difficulty and looked at the dark sky. Looking at the thick black fog, he muttered, "But I don't want to die in this godforsaken place. I want to go back to Earth." He felt that he couldn't get out. He would be trapped here until he died. Su Yan's eyes slowly closed. His consciousness fell into darkness. The whole world was quiet. Nothing could be heard. Everything was dead. Only a sense of death began to call out to Su Yan. It was as if it was telling him that it was time to go. The moment of death. Su Yan's mind was clear. His mind was clear as he recalled the past. From the 9th base, to Huaxia University, to the mausoleum of Emperor Qin, the memories in his mind flashed and appeared clearly in his mind. When he came to Alcade Planet, one memory after another appeared. Su Yan seemed to be looking back at his life. The time of death was getting closer and closer. Su Yan bitterly thought back to the past. When he thought back to the Sunset Ridge and the mysterious bone book, time seemed to have stopped. In Su Yan's mind, a picture appeared. It was like a picture of the great Tao that was imprinted in his mind. There was an immortal phoenix in it. It was as if it was being reborn in the fire. The immortal phoenix formed by the inscriptions seemed to have transformed into a living being as it soared. Some of the imprints formed by the inscriptions flashed in Su Yan's sea of consciousness. Su Yan's eyes faintly glowed. His extremely withered body was moving rhythmically. His treasure body was shrouded in layers of mysterious aura. It was as if he was about to turn into an immortal phoenix that was being reborn in the fire. Su Yan was laughing. It was very bitter. At the moment of death, he saw the mystery of the mysterious bone book. This was a secret technique that could bring the dead back to life. However, Su Yan found that he had no strength left. There was no trace of foundation in his body. The divine power stored in his body had been exhausted. He was unable to use this secret technique. At the moment of the secret technique's revival, Su Yan's withered body was filled with life essence. However, he was too weak and had completely exhausted it. Su Yan was dizzy. He was very unwilling to accept this. The speed of death was accelerating. The life essence that Su Yan had recovered was once again devoured clean. The world darkened. It was bone-chilling. At this moment of extreme coldness, it wanted to devour Su Yan's spirit and will. Perhaps if he died, nothing would be left. Even his thoughts would be buried. At the moment when it was so cold that Su Yan's soul was about to freeze and crack, Su Yan felt a kind of warmth. The warmth melted away the coldness. It allowed Su Yan's dying heart to recover a trace of life. Su Yan was in a daze. He felt as if he had come back to life. However, he was too weak. He could not open his eyes. It was as if he was living in a black world. Is this hell? Su Yan could not help but think. The world was still very cold. He could not see his fingers if he stretched out his hand. Chapter 339. Su Yan sensed a trace of life force in his body. Although it was very weak, like a small flame, he still felt it. Su Yan felt as if he was trapped in a black world. He felt that this should be the underworld. Perhaps after people died, he would be trapped in the underworld. After death, people would come to the underworld. He wanted to run out and see the outside world. However, his strength was too weak. It was difficult to even lift a hand. Su Yin couldn't help but think, was he going to spend a long time like this? Falling into eternal darkness, slowly, Su Yin felt that the life force in his body started to increase. He recovered some vitality. However, the darkness made Su Yin lose his calm. He started to let his imagination run wild. He felt that if he spent the rest of his life like this, his soul would scatter. I can't go on like this. I want to go out. Even if it's hell, I want to go out. Su Yin trembled violently. He let out a low roar. Go out, leave this damned place. He visualized the secret art of the mysterious bone book. He borrowed the mysterious engraving diagram of the bone book to trigger the weak life force in his body. He swallowed the divine power hidden between heaven and earth. This secret art was very special. It could be said to be a method of resurrection. Su Yin realized that the faster he circulated it, the faster he recovered. Slowly, the life force in his body started to strengthen. After an unknown period of time, Su Yin gradually saw some light. This made him very excited. He wanted to live in a world of light. He didn't want to stay in the darkness forever. Charge out. Su Yin's fighting spirit was tenacious. He sprinted here again and again, releasing the strongest life force. After countless efforts, he became stronger in the sprints. Finally, there was a rumble in his ears. It was as if a new world was opened. He came to a silver world. However, this world was too small. Su Yin found it difficult to move his body normally. He was silent for a while. He realized that his body was still there. Slowly, he saw the world he was in. This made Su Yin dumbfounded. What was going on? Brave warrior, rest in peace and have a safe journey. A mysterious voice came from a rooster with a shiny silver body. Compared to before, the rooster's bald body had a few more feathers, each of them shining with a silver light. But it was very sparse, only a dozen or so. The miser flapped his wings in front of a small grave, scattering a handful of yellow soil, as if he was paying homage to Su Yin. However, the cheapskate had a sinister smile on his face. He waved his blood-red halberd with one wing, and held the star pagoda with the other claw. He laughed loudly and said, I will take good care of your treasures and make them shine in the future. Hero, I will burn some beautiful women for you in a few days. You won't be lonely on the road to the Yellow Springs. The miser carried his wings on his back and raised his small head. He looked at the peak of the Black Mountain and clicked his tongue in wonder. I didn't expect to come here. Little brat, you can go in peace. Leave the secret of the Celestial Mountain to me. When the time comes, I will burn some paper for you and tell you what is inside. Crack! Suddenly, a cracking sound could be heard in this silent world. The sound was very soft, but in this quiet world, it was very ear-piercing. The feathers on the cheapskate's body stood up. He was scared out of his wits. He looked left and right and said, Who? Who is here? Jia Jia. A sinister voice appeared like a gust of cold wind, causing the cheapskate to tremble. He staggered in front of Su Yan's grave and said in a panic, I say, who are you? Come out quickly. Don't scare me like this. Jia Jia. The sinister voice appeared again and said coldly, You have done all kinds of evil deeds. It's time for your soul to return to the underworld. When Su Yin mentioned the word underworld, the cheapskate was so scared that he was trembling. He said in a panic, I say, did you make a mistake? This lowly one is wholeheartedly good and has never done anything evil. I say, big brother, are you seeing things? If you want to hook a soul, go hook the one buried in the ground. He was the one who brought me in. It has nothing to do with me. You still dare to quibble. The sinister voice reverberated between heaven and earth. The black fog around the Black Mountain roared, as if the master of the underworld was angry. He said in a cruel voice, Kill yourself now. Otherwise, you will suffer the pain of being boiled alive. Oh my God, who the hell are you? Iron Rooster was so scared that he was sweating profusely. His little heart was beating wildly, especially when he saw the black fog rolling in all directions. Iron Rooster said uneasily, I am just a chicken. My time is not up yet, and it is not time yet. This king wants you to die at midnight. Do you think you can't live past midnight? An angry voice could be heard. The door to your life is closed. Hurry up and be on your way. The commotion was even more frightening. The demonic fog around them was rolling and rolling, as if it was about to rush over. However, the cheapskate froze. He stood up abruptly and placed his wings on his waist. He then laughed out loud. Damn it, you can't come in, right? This immortal mountain is a treasure that is suppressing you. Even if your master were to come, he would have to retreat. Is that so? Suddenly, a blood-stained hand reached out and grabbed the cheapskate's neck. My dear mother, the cheapskate's soul dissipated. He was so scared that he almost wet himself. He said in fear, Master, I was wrong. I was wrong. I was just speaking casually. I have a lot of treasures here. I beg you to give me a way out. Open the door to my life and give me a chance to reincarnate. The cheapskate threw out all the treasures without a care for his life. They were all taken away by the hand. The heaven and earth returned to silence. This scene stunned the cheapskate. He felt that something was wrong. He turned around and saw that the grave he dug with his own hands had cracked open. His face turned black and purple, and his body was emitting green smoke. The cheapskate waved his claws and opened the small grave. Under the silver eggshell fragments, there was a bag of bones. It was absorbing the essence of heaven and earth to recover its lost life force. Damn it, you brat, you came back to life. The cheapskate was enraged, but at the same time, he was relieved. He had been scared out of his wits just now. Suyin was too lazy to bother with the cheapskate. If it weren't for the liquid thunder in the eggshell, Suyin estimated that he wouldn't have been able to survive. Suyin took out the treasures within the phoenix hairpin space. One jar after another was unsealed. Each jar contained sealed star domain source strength. This sort of strength was difficult to refine, and now it had become Su Yan's life-saving medicine. Wang, Su Yan's decaying mortal body began to burn with the essence of his life. Jar after jar of star domain source melted and flowed into Su Yan's withered body, nourishing his wounds. How did you get through it? The cheapskate looked as if he had seen a ghost. He said in shock, even if you survived, with your injuries and the degree of loss, you would have to use saint medicines to save your life. But how did you recover? It had to be said that the contents of the mysterious bone book were terrifying. Su Yan drew support from the mysterious bone book's secret technique. As he revolved it, the aura of rising from the ashes spread through his body. His recovery speed was too astonishing. In just a single day and night, Su Yan's mortal body was filled with vitality, and he slowly recovered to his youthful state. His precious body surged with life essence, and thick blood energy revolved around him. He was like a burning divine furnace as his blood essence slowly flourished. There's no justice in this world. The cheapskate suspected that Su Yan had grasped some saint medicine. Otherwise, how could he recover so quickly? Su Yan's exhausted energy had almost recovered to its peak. He continued to cultivate. This time, after experiencing life and death, he had comprehended many things. He felt as if he had been reborn. Wang, Su Yan's vitality surged within his body like golden clouds. As the bone book's secret technique revolved within his body, Su Yan seemed to have turned into a Tao diagram that was filled with the profound mysteries of life. He was like a divine phoenix spreading its wings and soaring through the skies. A rhythmic sound came from within his body. This was a terrifying manifestation. Under the cleansing of the star domain source, Su Yan's precious body became bright and resplendent. The flaws of his body were unexpectedly opened under the cleansing of the bone book's secret technique. How long? Because of this, Su Yan's precious body became resplendent and overflowed into the heavens. It was as if a great sun was slowly rising into the sky. His entire vitality flourished. There was even an indistinct immortal phoenix that appeared within Su Yan's body. This was the power of the bone book's secret technique. The immortal phoenix's phantom appeared and disappeared. Every time it appeared, Su Yan's injuries would heal a little. Finally, he recovered to his peak state. However, his fighting strength had risen by a level, and his body was sparkling and translucent. Some black impurities were even forced out. There was even some cold energy that was forced out from his body. This was the power of the demonic mist. It was extremely sinister and was like a maggot in one's bones. However, it was now forced out by the Bone Book's secret technique and refined into ashes. Su Yan's eyes suddenly opened. Divine radiance shot out in all directions as he stood at his peak state. He sighed deeply. It was too dangerous, and he almost lost his life. The miser eagerly ran over. He wanted to ask what kind of secret technique Su Yan cultivated. Su Yan snorted. If it wasn't for the eggshell that the miser had turned into during his slumber and saved his life, Su Yan would have definitely not let it go. This fellow had buried him and even taken away all the treasures on his body. How did you get in here? Su Yan asked. The miser said with lingering fear. I was also almost refined to death. As soon as I broke out of my shell, I saw that you were already on the verge of death, so I dragged you here to bury you. Fortunately, we were already close to the immortal mountain. Otherwise, we would have all been refined into human jerky. Immortal mountain. A trace of spirit appeared in Su Yan's eyes as he gazed at the black peak. However, he was still somewhat unsure. Was this really an immortal mountain? I didn't have much hope at first, but you have mastered the Big Dipper fist. Perhaps you really can enter the immortal mountain. The miser said excitedly. Do you see the Tao Palace at the peak? That is the Big Dipper Palace. If you can't open the palace, you can't enter the immortal mountain. Su Yan paid close attention. Finding no danger, he rushed up. The miser quickly flew up and warned, if you can't enter, you must not trespass. This is an immortal mountain. You will die if you touch it. Only the fated can enter the immortal mountain. The black peak wasn't very tall. They rushed to the peak. There was a Tao Palace in front of them. It was extremely ancient and didn't seem to be very powerful. The Tao Palace's doors were also tightly shut. The miser tried to push the door, but found that it was too heavy. He couldn't open it at all. Su Yan erupted with the Big Dipper fist because he found a fist imprint on the Tao door. Boom! Su Yan's fist was blazing like a star. He punched forward and became one with the fist imprint. In an instant, the entire Tao Palace shone with divine light, and a deafening sound of mountains collapsing and seas splitting could be heard. The opening of this door was like opening an ancient starry sky world. Resplendent radiance flooded out, blinding everyone's eyes. Someone's here. Su Yan struggled to open his eyes. In the dazzling divine light, Su Yan was shocked because he found a vague and mysterious figure sitting cross-legged in the Tao Palace. Chapter 340. Although his voice was calm, when these words landed in Su Yan's heart, it was like a sudden clap of thunder that exploded. His hair stood on end. Opening the Big Dipper Palace and seeing a living creature inside was enough to shock Su Yan. After all, it was difficult to verify how long the Big Dipper Palace had been sealed. How could there be a living creature inside? But now that he said it, Su Yan felt like he was living in a dream. It had been over 100 years. Could it be that he had appeared before? The Big Dipper Palace was resplendent. When the door was opened, the brilliance was too brilliant. It was as if a golden river of stars was flowing inside. The aura was sacred and solemn. It was as if an ancient sacred ground was presented in front of Su Yan's eyes. Gradually, the blurry shadow became clearer. He walked out. It was a Taoist with an ancient aura. He had the demeanor of a transcendent being. He held a golden feather fan. His aura was tranquil and peaceful, giving people the feeling of a spring breeze. Su Yan's eyes widened as he looked at the Taoist with the demeanor of a transcendent being. His aura was too sacred. His entire body was filled with the aura of the great Tao. He was like a person who had attained the Tao. What's wrong? Don't you recognize me? The Taoist had the demeanor of a transcendent being. He smiled and looked kind. His entire body was filled with the aura of a transcendent being. He smiled and said, That's true. You were still young back then. I didn't expect that you would return after 100 years. Senior, who are you? Su Yan felt a headache coming on. He then asked, Why are you in the Big Dipper Palace? Hearing this, the Taoist stepped out. A golden path appeared under his feet. This path shone brightly with a holy aura. It was surrounded by a sea of clouds of the great Tao. Strange phenomena appeared. There were various auspicious beasts looming in the clouds. This method was too brilliant. When he stepped out, the golden path accompanied him. It was as if he could cross the star field and the vast universe. He was free and unfettered. I'm from the mountains. My name has long been forgotten. The Taoist smiled faintly. I'm from the ancient times. I traveled the world and only took a short breath in the Big Dipper Palace. I didn't expect that 100 years had passed. Su Yin was tongue-tied. He didn't know what to say. 100 years had passed since he had taken a nap. Su Yin was shaken and even found it hard to believe. He was also a little suspicious. Wasn't this too bizarre? How could someone live in the Big Dipper Palace? He still had some doubts about the Taoist's identity. Senior, you said you saw me 100 years ago. Can you tell me what happened? Su Yin couldn't help but ask. Hearing this, the Taoist grinned. That's easy. Take the heavenly talisman from above. This item is miraculous. It can turn back time and let you know what happened 100 years ago. Su Yin's heart skipped a beat as he raised his head to look at the sky. He was still standing outside the Tao Palace. As for the plaque of the Big Dipper Hall, there was indeed a golden talisman. Take it down. The Taoist's voice drifted over faintly, as if it was flowing through time and space, containing a strand of terrifying demonic power. Su Yan's eyes widened, and a thought emerged in his mind. If he took away the talisman, he would be able to know what had happened. Su Yan slowly raised his hand and stretched it toward the golden talisman. The moment Su Yan's hand touched it, it was as if he was touching nothingness. The golden talisman was as if it didn't exist, which shocked Su Yan. You can only take it down with the power of your primordial spirit. The voice that contained demonic power came again. Su Yan's primordial spirit glowed and walked out of the sea of consciousness. However, his primordial spirit inexplicably caused the golden talisman to burn brightly as well, creating a connection between them. Su Yan suddenly came back to his senses, and his back was covered in cold sweat. He was scared. He was clearly looking at the golden talisman just now. Now that he came back to his senses, he realized that his primordial spirit had awakened and was preparing to take off the talisman. How could this be? Was everything just an illusion? Take it down quickly. The Taoist spoke again. He had a sage-like demeanor and a benevolent countenance, like an immortal who had attained the Tao. His figure was faintly discernible in the golden sea of clouds, appearing very sacred and solemn. Su Yan was shocked. He felt that something was wrong. It was too bizarre. Where did the miser go? This talisman. Su Yan's expression changed. He realized that the talisman had a special power that made his primordial spirit glow and resonate with the talisman. This is the Sutra of the Future. Su Yan was pleasantly surprised. This talisman was inscribed with the power of the Sutra of the Future. Could it be that it was pasted here to suppress something? Take it out quickly. The Taoist's voice came again. Seeing that Su Yan had not taken action, his voice contained a hint of impatience. Old thing, you tricked me. Su Yan snorted coldly in his heart, but his expression did not change. His primordial spirit sat cross-legged in the void, confronting the golden talisman. His primordial spirit was chanting sutras. This was the manifestation of the power of the Sutra of the Future. Wave after wave of Sanskrit chants came out from Su Yan's mouth, finally causing the talisman to shine with resplendent divine light that overflowed into the sky. This talisman was extremely terrifying. The ancient talisman was like a space-time, as if it was operating in the future. It emitted millions of strands of Buddhist light that illuminated the heavens. Above the talisman, ancient Buddhas appeared one after another. It was as if 3,000 immortals and Buddhas had appeared between heaven and earth. When they began to chant the heavenly sutra, their voices were majestic and seemed to resound through the entire universe. Boom! The entire Black Mountain was filled with divine light, and Buddhist nature covered the sun. A large bell appeared, a wooden fish was struck, and Buddhas filled the sky. The strange phenomena were quite shocking. The Big Dipper Palace seemed to have turned into a temple. The strange phenomena inside were all dispersed and emitted strands of cold aura. It was as if a corner of purgatory had been lifted. Ah! A mournful voice exploded. The miser was shocked and cried out involuntarily. Is there a living creature inside the Big Dipper Palace? What's going on? Su Yan's expression changed greatly. Time returned. He returned to the time when he was just approaching the Big Dipper Palace. He found himself practicing the Big Dipper fist. How is this possible? This caused Su Yan's heart to beat faster. Could it be that the experience just now was controlled by someone? This was too frightening. Talisman. Su Yan fiercely raised his head and looked at the talisman on the door. It was still there. Little friend, why didn't you remove the talisman? The Big Dipper Palace suddenly began to rumble. It was as if a terrifying power was attacking it. The rumbling was like thunder, frightening Tai Rooster. Who are you? Su Yan sternly said. You tricked me just now. It's just a mutual benefit. Be obedient and remove the talisman. The Big Dipper Palace will belong to you. The voice came again, sounding very calm. Don't listen to him. The miser looked as if he had seen a ghost. He said in shock, it's probably a supreme demon imprisoned in the Big Dipper Palace. As soon as his words fell, a black shadow suddenly appeared at the Big Dipper Palace's door. It was very terrifying, like a peerless demon. It was filled with an extremely terrifying aura, causing the entire world to be filled with destructive fluctuations. At this moment, Su Yan and the miser were about to shatter. This was not a real power. Although it was just a strand of killing intent, it was not something they could withstand. Boom! Su Yan suddenly took out the star pagoda. The 10-level pagoda shone and poured down the power of the great Tao, sealing the peerless killing intent that attacked them. This is definitely an old monster. This is the power of his divine sense. It can penetrate the Big Dipper Palace. The miser screamed, goosebumps rising all over his body. If such a terrifying existence escaped, they would be killed like ants. Su Yan's expression was grave. He used the star pagoda to block the leaking killing intent. I have no evil intentions. Otherwise, you would have all died just now. The black shadow floated in the palace, emitting a terrifying aura. It actually shook the star pagoda to the point of trembling. Su Yan felt his scalp hair stand on end. It was too strong. Let's make a deal. I will use the heavenly secret technique to make a deal. I swear that I will not harm you. Its voice was transmitted. It contained a terrifying demonic power that reverberated in Su Yan and the miser's hearts. At this moment, they seemed to have lost their spiritual will. They were bewitched and wanted to open the talisman. Buzz! However, the golden talisman shone, releasing countless strands of Buddhist light that shone on Su Yan and the miser's bodies. Heavens! The miser came back to his senses and said in shock, it can actually affect our spiritual will. This is an old demon with great cultivation. Don't get close to it. Su Yan and his whole body were covered in cold sweat. This one was too strong. Humph! It seemed to have lost its patience. The black shadow on the palace door became infinitely terrifying. It was like a terrifying giant that could swallow the universe. It released boundless killing intent that surged over. The world was trembling and about to explode. This killing intent was truly peerless and incomparable. It came majestically, even with the protection of the star pagoda and the power of the great Tao. However, Su Yan also felt as if he had fallen into an ice cave. It was as if 10,000 swords were piercing his bones and were about to shatter his body and mind. Clang! The star pagoda trembled on its own. Some cracks actually appeared on the pagoda. Kid, leave quickly, leave quickly. The miser was frightened. Even the Tao weapon was about to be destroyed. Although the opportunity was right in front of him, he had to be alive to take it. I'll risk it. Su Yan gritted his teeth. His primordial spirit and his sea of consciousness erupted as he chanted the sutra of the future. He wanted to see if he could control the talisman and suppress the old demon. Just as he chanted the sutra, Su Yan felt inside the talisman. He even felt that there was a shocking ancient sutra hidden inside. The golden talisman shone. The Buddhist light in the world was like a sea. Thousands of strands of auspicious clouds swept through the black sky. Moreover, there were many majestic Buddhas that appeared in the void. It was as if they were sitting cross-legged in a small universe. They chanted Buddhist sutras and evaporated the killing intent in the world. This talisman was too terrifying. It was definitely refined by a Buddhist giant. It contained the energy of the Sutra of the future. Under the illumination of the Buddhist light, the entire Big Dipper Palace seemed to be dyed in a layer of golden splendor. It was solemn, especially outside the palace door. The blurry shadow was distorting and was about to be refined completely by the Buddhist light. As for Su Yin, he opened the scripture hidden in the talisman. Chapter 341. In the solemn golden world, Buddhist aura filled the air as Sanskrit chants echoed. This place was like an ancient Buddhist kingdom. The figures of ancient Buddhas appeared one after another with solemn appearances. 3,000 ancient Buddhas chanted Buddhist chants. The vast scripture words that scattered down combined together like a long golden river that emitted an ancient power. They seemed to be sitting cross-legged in the future, chanting supreme scriptures. The long river of scriptures appeared in this golden world. It contained an indescribable power that involved the terrifying power of the world. The Sutra of the Future was a secret of the Buddhist sections. It was also a scripture that shook the Buddhist sections. It described a shocking scripture that was filled with the aura of time and space. Su Yin was moved. This creation was too great. The opening of the Sutra of the Future that he grasped was imparted to him by Bamboo Moon. Without this opening, Su Yin wouldn't have been able to see the scene inside the talisman. Without a doubt, this talisman was related to the Buddhist sections. It was refined with the power of the Sutra of the Future. It contained the strongest power of the Sutra of the Future. This was a scripture that could be considered the strongest heavenly technique. Once it was spread out, it would set off a storm of blood in the universe. Sutra of the Future. Su Yan's eyes were bright as he stared at the long river of scriptures that had gathered. Large amounts of ancient golden characters appeared in this long river. The aura of complexity and time gave Su Yan a splitting headache. This scripture was too shocking. The chanting sound that was transmitted was enough to shake Su Yan's soul out of his body. He sucked in a cold breath and didn't dare to observe anymore. Su Yan's primordial spirit sat cross-legged in the golden world and chanted the Sutra of the Future. Gradually, Su Yan's chanting of the Sutra of the Future caused the long golden river to tremble. It resonated with Su Yan's chanting. The majestic chanting sound seemed to cross the long river of time and space. It resounded from the ethereal future and penetrated Su Yan's ears. At this moment, Su Yan's entire body was suffused with a golden radiance, as if he had transformed into an eminent monk. As he listened to the Sutra of the Future, Su Yan's primordial spirit surged with Buddhist light. It was as if he could see the future, and there was a great Buddha sitting cross-legged, chanting sutras to him. Every syllable contained a supreme profundity, the power of time and space. Refining the spirit into the void, the next domain involved the transformation of the primordial spirit. It was extremely profound, and the Sutra of the Future could be said to be the most terrifying heavenly art in this domain, because it involved the evolution of time and space. For it to be named the Sutra of the Future, one could imagine how shocking this sutra was. Time passed day after day. The entire Big Dipper was in complete chaos. All sorts of overlords charged in, and even some of the older generation experts from the surrounding stellar regions charged in. The Big Dipper had completely become the battlefield of the strong. The younger generation had all lost their luster and retreated one after another. The Dark Sky Star region is launching a large-scale attack. Kong Yuan's death has completely infuriated the Dark Sky sect. A large number of experts are charging in to target the Big Dipper lineage. Zhu Jingtian was almost killed by Star Element. The Ancestral Hall has sent some universe overlords. I don't believe that Zhu Xing's death will make the Ancestral Hall go to war. It's not just Zhu Xing. A dozen knights from the Ancestral Hall were also killed by Su Yan. I don't think the Ancestral Hall will let this matter rest. The entire Big Dipper star region was in chaos. However, what made the various races tremble was that the Big Dipper was once again surging with great waves. They could feel the awakening power of the Big Dipper from afar. It was as if the slumbering divine king was awakening, releasing billions of rays of divine light. The Ancestral Hall is attacking the Devil Abyss. This news caused a huge commotion. In the past, Star Element had carried the Divine King's weapon, but he still hadn't been able to open the Devil Abyss. Now, however, a group of terrifying experts had come from the Ancestral Hall, bringing out one supreme treasure after another to attack the Devil Abyss. What were they trying to do? Open the Devil Abyss and capture Su Yan? Some people didn't think that was possible. Su Yan's potential hadn't reached the point where the Ancestral Hall would go to war. Perhaps there was something buried in the Devil Abyss that the Ancestral Hall was very interested in. 100 years ago, some people came from the burial grounds and opened the Star Mount. The Ancestral Hall also came, and a terrifying, bloody battle broke out. Some people thought of something that had caused a huge uproar. Could there be some divine treasure hidden in the Big Dipper? Immortal Mountain. Some of the old-timers lost their composure. Could the legendary Immortal Mountain really be in the Big Dipper? It's an ancient immortal mountain, mysterious and unfathomable. Rumor has it that it has boundless power and originated from the Wild Era. It's said that there are 9 immortal mountains in the world, but today, only the Big Dipper has traces of them. Let's not talk about whether or not the Immortal Mountain exists, but the bloodline of the burial grounds has been passed down since the Wild Era. 100 years ago, a bloody battle broke out on the Big Dipper. It's said that the Ancestral Hall found the lair of the bloodline of the burial grounds and began hunting them down. What kind of secret does the bloodline of the burial ground hold? It's worth the Ancestral Hall hunting them down again and again for countless years. It's not just the Ancestral Hall, but other peak powers as well. Some of the old-timers found it hard to say. The grudges between them were at least 1,000,000 years old, and the time involved was too far away. It was already late at night, and the environment should have been completely silent. However, the Big Dipper blazed with divine light, and the sound of the great Tao resounded endlessly. Those were the Ancestral Hall experts with astonishing auras, and with the awakening of numerous supreme treasures. They were so dazzling that the starry skies were brightly lit, as if it was daytime. The entire Big Dipper was pierced through by all kinds of divine energy that pierced through the universe. This was an extremely frightening scene. The Ancestral Hall was making a big fuss, attacking the Devil Abyss, and this attracted the attention of various experts. However, the result made everyone pale. The Devil Abyss was known as the most powerful life forbidden region. Millions and millions of indistinct stars appeared, and the aura they emitted shook the universe's starry seas, causing the vast Big Dipper star field to tremble. This scene was truly heaven-defying. The skies were filled with supreme treasures exploding, and one after another, heaven-reaching experts were crushed into meat paste. A group of experts were beaten until their souls scattered, and they collapsed under the divine might of the Devil Abyss. Everyone was trembling with fear. This was a crushing defeat. Does the Big Dipper bloodline know something? Someone said this, causing everyone's eyelids to jump wildly. Ever since the Ancestral Hall began to target the Devil Abyss, the Big Dipper bloodline didn't say a single word. The Big Dipper was their territory after all, but not a single expert from the Big Dipper bloodline stepped out. Some people felt that the Big Dipper bloodline knew some inside information. The Ancestral Hall suffered a crushing defeat, and those who survived were unwilling. There were even some experts who wanted to use their physical bodies to cross over. AI, it's already been a month. Pitiful Su Yan, the young overlord of a generation, fell in the Devil Abyss. It's truly a pity. Su Yan's combat strength was extraordinary. Even Kong Yuan was killed by him. Who would have thought that he would be forced into the Devil Abyss in the end? There are also people who lamented the terror of the Ancestral Hall. Su Yan's death in the Devil Abyss was directly related to the Ancestral Hall. However, experts from the Ancestral Hall frequently came to the Big Dipper starfield these days, intimidating the Big Dipper bloodline into not daring to act blindly without thinking. We must demand an explanation for senior brother Su Yin. Zuyang and the others had lost control of their emotions. It had already been a month, and the trace of hope in their hearts had been shattered. But now, the main culprit, Zhu Jingtian, was still alive. That old bastard Han Jin, he actually invited experts from the Ancestral Hall to a banquet. He said that Su Yin is dead, and it's just right to use him to pay for his life. These words caused Shao Wan and the others to explode with anger. Some disciples roared with grief and indignation. I want to leave the sect. I don't want to stay here. I want to avenge senior brother Su Yin in the future. What nonsense are you spouting? Star Element walked over. He was also helpless. The Big Dipper bloodline was already in chaos. Now, Bamboo Moon was still in seclusion. Even if he wanted to demand an explanation for Su Yin, he didn't have the power to do so. All of you leave. When Xing Jingfu comes out, we'll go out into the universe together to gain experience. Since you want revenge, then show us your true abilities. Star Element's eyes were also filled with anticipation. Looking at this group of disciples who were motivated, he hoped that these 36 people could grow up in the future and become the pillars of the Big Dipper bloodline. He hoped that the Big Dipper bloodline would be able to return to its glory days. After all, the Big Dipper scripture had been found. Now, the Big Dipper bloodline had the foundation to rise. It's finally stopped. Miserly Rooster looked at the calm Black Devil abyss. Then, he looked towards the Big Dipper palace with lingering fear. He cursed, "Don't F Astra's King howl. I'm tired of listening to it. It's already been a month. Can't you let me have a good sleep?" This month had been a hair-raising experience for Miserly Rooster. The talisman that suppressed the Big Dipper Palace shone brightly day by day. It was like a burning Buddhist sun that had trapped an old demon in the Big Dipper Palace for an entire month. Miserly Rooster crawled up. He discovered that Su Yin, who was in seclusion, was showing signs of awakening. His frontal bone shone with a resplendent light. The primordial spirit that was originally sitting inside seemed to have been assimilated and turned into nothingness. It no longer existed in this world. Waves after waves of sutra chanting reverberated in his sea of consciousness. It was as if it had crossed through time and space. Every syllable contained shocking fluctuations of the profound mysteries of space and time. This was the power of the Sutra of Future. Su Yan's sea of consciousness flowed with a golden radiance. It was like drops of golden liquid that sealed a shocking amount of soul energy. Every drop of liquid was as majestic as a small world. It was filled with a kind of vague fluctuation of space and time. A grain of sand, a world, a Bodhi, refining the spirit into the void. At this step of cultivation, Su Yan seemed to have been assimilated and disappeared from the world. It was not a true disappearance. Instead, Su Yan's primordial spirit had become more than 10 times stronger. When the golden liquid that filled the sky burned, they began to combine together. It was as if small worlds were being reconstructed one after another. When they interweaved together, they turned into a resplendent and heaven-overflowing shadow, as if a great Buddhist sun was burning here. This primordial spirit was even infinitely enlarged and branded in the void. It was indomitable, like a golden god of war. It was divine and holy. His primordial spirit had broken through the shackles and stepped into the return to void stage. However, at the moment of breakthrough, Su Yan's primordial spirit's origin surged infinitely. It increased by more than 10 times. His primordial spirit overflowed with an extremely ancient aura. Miserly Rooster was stunned. How could Su Yan's primordial spirit have such an aura? What's this? In the next moment, Miserly Rooster was speechless. He found that there were wisps of thin white mist lingering in Su Yan's primordial spirit. This mist was very special. It was like a kind of immortal mist. Although there were very few wisps, they contained an indescribable energy. It was like the most mysterious and terrifying substance in the world. Boom! At this moment, the world trembled. The black shadow that disappeared appeared again. However, compared to before, it was blurry and was about to dissipate. "You're not dead yet." Miserly Rooster's expression changed. This old demon was too good at enduring. He was just a primordial spirit, but he had endured for so long. Buzz. The black shadow's eyes suddenly opened, a pair of blood-red pupils. The vision inside was too terrifying. There were stars exploding and suns extinguishing. It seemed to represent the source of destruction. However, his eyes were fixed on the white mist overflowing from Su Yan's primordial spirit. He said in a trembling voice, This thing, how can it appear on your body?"